medical treatment after taking pills they believe to be ecstasy at V Festival in Staffordshire. Police say anyone who's taken a pill known as Blue Ghost should contact emergency teams immediately. 90,000 people are expected at Weston Park near Wolverhampton over the weekend for acts like the Killers and the Kaiser Chiefs. Speaking ahead of the festival, Superintendent Elliot Williams from Staffordshire Police said they had a clear statement on drugs.
It's some simple messages, really. Stay away from controlled drugs. You will be dealt with if we find them. Zero tolerance. Don't engage in the use of illegal highs. If you're having a drink, be responsible. Look after each other.
The Pentagon says drones have destroyed 2 armoured vehicles in Iraq which were being used by militants from the group known as Islamic State. The attack took place near Mosul in the northwest of the country, the same area where Kurdish officials say there's been another massacre of dozens of members of the minority Yazidi religion. The United States says it's received guarantees from Moscow that no Russian military personnel are involved in the huge convoy of aid approaching the Ukrainian border. Moscow's also denied sending armoured vehicles into Ukraine, despite eyewitness accounts from journalists who say they saw a number of military vehicles crossing the border. Ukraine says its troops have destroyed several Russian vehicles. Almost 2/3 of the top tourist destinations in the UK have admitted they're not fully accessible to wheelchair users. A survey by the disability charity Vitalise also reveals only 13% had trained all their staff in how to deal with people with a disability. Tourist attractions such as Sarhole Mill in Hall Green and Aston Hall are among those in Birmingham which wheelchair users can't fully access. Anna Fawcett is from Winterbourne House and Gardens, where they've managed to make all but one room wheelchair accessible. She says it can be difficult.
The actual building itself, the old kitchen, it has a step up to the back, and it's something that we're looking at potentially putting in some kind of ramp in the future. But it's actually the space, it's the courtyard where the old coal would have been delivered, and it's not a particularly spacious area, so to put in a ramp would actually change the structure quite a lot and would probably need quite a lot of work doing to it in terms of planning and permission.
And the strangest requests councils have received under the Freedom of Information Act have been released. In Birmingham, someone wanted to know how many times a team of ghost investigators have been brought in to look at public buildings, while in Cambridge, a person asked how many animals they'd frozen. In sport, Villa will look to get their season off to a good start when they travel to face Stoke City this afternoon. The match is live on BBC WM 95.6, along with updates from today's 4 other games involving our clubs. Villa boss Paul Lambert says he's not concerned by his side's results during pre-season, and he's looking forward to hitting the ground running today.
I think pre-season, people getting caught up into loads of things, the results and everything. It doesn't really matter, and what really matters is that everybody fit. You're getting ready for that first game, which is upon us, and that was always my main objective, was to get everybody fit. But it's been a good pre-season, and it's been hard, but we're ready to go.
Elsewhere, West Bromwich Albion kick off against Sunderland at the Hawthorns. Blues entertain Brighton at St Andrews. Wolves are away at Rotherham, and Walsall are at home against Bradford. Looking at the weather, a bright start with sunny spells this morning, turning cloudier later on. We'll have highs of 19 Celsius, that's 66 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. A few seconds of silence on the radio is one of the most powerful things. Also, I was playing Radio Chicken with my producer. Who would speak first? I did. She won. Busy show this morning, dear listener. Very busy show this morning. Later on, you know UFO... I don't believe in anything ghostly, mystic... I don't believe in any of that nonsense. But the one thing I know exists... UFOs. There is life out there. I believe it. It's a mathematical certainty. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We're also going to hear from a Swedish gentleman who is so sick and tired of his 10 and 11-year-old children banging on about violent video games. He took them to Israel and Syria to see what war was all about. Now, is he either the best, most forward-thinking dad in the world, or is he a complete and utter plum? As always, you can call in about anything else you want, but at the start of the show, well, it's the front pages of all the papers. I want to tread carefully around this one, please. Cliff Richard is on the front pages of all the newspapers. The Star, Sir Cliff sex probe, more come forward. The Sun, Cliff, more call cops. It's on a lot of them. Now, don't want to talk specifically about Cliff Richard. That would be inappropriate. Although no charges have been made, no arrests have been made, would be inappropriate. But it raises the age-old question, should people accused of sex crimes be given anonymity? If you want to get in touch, you can email ian.lee, IAIN.LEE at bbc.co.uk. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text WM, but come on, guys. You know how this show works best. It's when you call in, so we can have a little discussion. Dare I say it, a little argument to get the brain working on a Saturday morning. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 009956.
BBC WM
95.6.
Big story. Front page of the papers. I don't want to go there specifically, so let's avoid that. We can kind of allude to it and use it as the starting point of our conversation. Cliff Richard, OK? All over the front pages of the newspapers this morning after police searched his home in connection with an historic sexual offence allegation. Yesterday, he denied an allegation that he sexually assaulted a boy under the age of 16 in 1985. No arrests have been made, no one's been charged, he's not even in the country at the moment, and it does beg the question whether people being questioned by the police, investigated by the police, should have their names released into the public domain. The police rolling up at Cliff's place in Berkshire and then rolling back out several hours later it was being filmed. There were film crews there. Lots of people knew about it. Should people have known about it? 03453 009956. Well, the former Commons Deputy Speaker, Nigel Evans, has called for an investigation into whether the Crown Prosecution Service should be allowed to pursue historic allegations of sexual abuse. Nigel joins me now. Good morning, Nigel.
Good morning.
Now, you were accused of...
I've not called for that, by the way.
Well, remind us what you've called for.
No, what I've asked for is that the Home Affairs Select Committee look at issues of anonymity, because what you've just said is absolutely right. Cliff Richard hasn't been interviewed, he's not been arrested, he's certainly not been charged. And what we do know is that 5 police cars turned up at his home in Sunningdale, so the police knew about it, the press knew about it, and the only person who didn't know about it was Cliff Richard. So it does seem a bit odd. And the reason why I want the Home Affairs Select Committee to look into it is because in several of these cases recently, what we've seen is that there's been the full glare of publicity with Freddie Starr, with Jim Davidson, with Jimmy Tarbuck, and people go through a year or more of hell, and at the end of it, the police turn around and say no further action. And it does seem it seems wrong that the character of the people I've just mentioned are then stained, but there is no further investigation. There's not sufficient evidence for the police to go on anything.
You were, of course, Nigel, you were famously accused of various sexual offences, found guilty of none of them, and you were front page news. Your name was dragged through the press. What impact did that have on your life?
It was massive. I've got to say it was massive. And, of course, I gave up being Deputy Speaker, and on acquittal I didn't go back into the job, which it was offered to me by each of the candidates who took over from me. But I decided I had too much to say. I couldn't have this interview with you today calling for the Home Affairs Select Committee to look at something, because as Deputy Speaker you do things behind the scenes, but you couldn't do it publicly. And I felt that my torture was so public that I needed to ensure that when I was calling for something that people knew exactly what I was calling for. But the point with me, though, would have been that I've asked the Home Affairs Select Committee to look at anonymity until charge. So I was charged. So it did go to trial. So my name would have been out there. It would have been public. And I think that might address the issue whereby people say, well, when it is made public, other people may come forward. And indeed, South Yorkshire Police have intimated that other people, since the publicity concerning the raid on the Sunningdale home, that other people have come forward.
And how would it work?
Maybe that gets around that.
How would it work? Because the argument put forward for I always flip and flop between whether people should be anonymous or not. The one argument for not having anonymity, of course, is Stuart Hall. Well, when his name was released to the press, suddenly loads more women who'd been attacked as children, as young girls, came forward.
Yes. And that's why I want the Home Affairs Select Committee to look at it, as opposed to me just saying it's torture for people who have to go through the full glare of publicity, a very public execution in many ways. And yet I know that the pros to a name becoming public means that other people do come out there. So I thought of maybe a middle way, which is that in normal circumstances, the person making the allegation is anonymous, and indeed anonymous for the rest of their lives. The person who has the allegations made against them are anonymous, unless the police can go to a judge and prove that they have sufficient evidence to suggest that if somebody's name was out there, then other people would come forward. And it does seem, from what I've been reading in the newspapers today, that the South Yorkshire Police are saying actually it was a good idea they did what they did because other people have come forward. So they're actually justifying the fact that the cameras and the press were outside Sir Cliff's home.
It would seem that, looking back on Jimmy Savile, excuse me, which has been the start of a lot of these prosecutions. I know that Cliff Richard isn't connected to Operation Yewtree, but the police and a lot of authorities really missed several opportunities with Jimmy Savile. Do you get the feeling, Nigel, that with a lot of these recent cases, that they're trying to make up, maybe overcompensate for the mistakes they made around Savile?
I suspect now what they're doing is doing what they should have been doing in the past. You know, there's lots of questions that have arisen since Sir Cyril Smith, for instance, as to why action wasn't taken against him. And then, of course, the questions over Jimmy Savile as well have materialised. But I always believe that it's right to get the absolute balance in all of these things. And, a question has been put to me about the fact that the police say that somebody who comes through them with an allegation will be automatically believed. Well, what I would say is they should not automatically believed or disbelieved. I mean, part of the job of the detective is then to go and seek the truth. And so I don't believe that anybody, I think that anybody who's had any, themselves have been assaulted in any way, shape or form in the past should feel quite confident in going to the police, that they will be listened to and it will be investigated. And clearly I think part of the problem has been that this has not happened automatically in the past.
Finally, Nigel, how is your life now? Because on another phone-in show, I talked about another celebrity who had been accused of a sex crime and then was acquitted in court. And someone phoned up and said, "Oh yeah, he got away with it. There's no smoke. There's no smoke without fire." Have you come across that?
Not so much anybody saying it against me, but certainly about other people. And indeed, one journalist did say it about one of the celebrities to me. They said, "Listen, I know he was acquitted, but I suspect he did something. Although, Nigel, I don't believe that would be your case." And I giggled and I thought, no, this is absolute nonsense. Once you go through the rigour of a full investigation and a trial, and 12 people independently look at all the evidence, when they say that's it, that is it, acquittal. I mean, I'll just tell you a little story about a friend of mine once who was accused of something and he was acquitted. And I said to him when I saw him, I said, "Well done, you got off." And he looked at me and he said, "Nigel, got off is what happens in Swansea. Acquittal is what happened to me." And so it's not that people, when they go through this trial, the ordeal, and a jury says not guilty, it is actually acquittal rather than getting off.
Nigel, listen, I really appreciate your time and your thoughts on that this morning. Former Commons Deputy Speaker Nigel Evans wants a review of the anonymity laws for people accused of sex crimes. It's a tough one, this, isn't it? Because for a long time, I've always argued that if you're accused of a sex crime, you should remain anonymous. And then Stuart Hall happened. And Stuart Hall was named because the police suspected, almost knew, there were more victims out there. And it works. More came forward. Over to you, dear listener. 03453 00 9956. Should somebody accused of sex crimes be granted anonymity? Love to hear your views on this. If this has affected you or touched your life in some way, then do get in touch. 03453 00 9956. Right, it's 9:16, BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now with Liz Saul.
Good morning, Ian. Thank you. The M6 going north is a little bit busy. There's apparently a pair of ladders in the middle carriageway of the motorway between 6 and 7 at Spaghetti Junction to Great Bar, the A34. So just be a bit careful along that stretch. Not looking too bad otherwise in terms of traffic flow, but expect delays on the M54, the A5 and the A1 all around that area as quite a lot of traffic is heading towards Weston Park with the V Festival taking place there this weekend. There's one or two temporary restrictions in place. Part of the A41 is a one-way system. There's temporary speed limits as well. Some roads are also shut in the area, so just be aware of that. If you're not heading there by your own steam with a vehicle, you can use the shuttle bus services, which are running from Wolverhampton, Friar Street, Telford bus station and also Stafford train station. There's shuttle buses every 15 minutes until 3:30 and 4 o'clock respectively. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
Ahead of next week's election for the Police and Crime Commissioner's job, BBC WM hosts a special debate with the candidates aiming for your vote.
Paul Franks.
How will they hold the police to account? Why should their experience land them the top job?
BBC WM
95.6.
Hear the candidates and their answers this Monday between 5:30 and 6 on BBC WM 95.6.
So, the front page of The Sun this morning, Cliff Morecall cops. The Star, Sir Cliff sex probe. What else have we got here? Sir Cliff shop, new calls to police, says The Express. Ex-priest at Cliffside as he fights sex claims, is the Mail. It's on the front page of pretty much most of the newspapers. Should it be? Should we know that the police went to Cliff Richard's house and were there for about 5 hours and took materials? Should there be anonymity for people who are accused of sex crimes? I've always argued, for as long as I can remember, that there should be. That if you have committed a sex crime, or if you're accused of it, that you should be anonymous. You should be anonymous, because anyone could come forward and say, oh, yeah, he did that to me. He did that. And just doing it out of malice and spite. And then Stuart Hall happened. The whole Stuart Hall furore happened. And he was named in the press. And it was right that he was named in the press because it gave more victims the courage to come forward and say, yeah, hang on a minute. He attacked me when I was a kid. So it's a tough one, isn't it? I can't quite work out where I sit on this. Is it worth potentially ruining some people's lives to help convict some others? Who's been accused and then acquitted? Ken Barlow and Kevin Webster. I don't know their real names. Bill Roach, that was it, and the other fella, Kevin Webster. I don't know their real names. Isn't that terrible? How we identify with the characters. They were dragged through the papers. Their life was made hell. We learned far more details about Kevin Webster's private life and his potential problem with drugs and booze than I wanted to know. All kinds of horrible stuff was raked through the press. And then he was found not guilty. He was acquitted. He hadn't done anything. Michael Lavelle, that's it. Thank you, Producer Joe. And I know you had to Google it. Didn't know his name. Mudstix Webster. That's the only quote I know from Coronation Street. Anyway. And they weren't found guilty. They were found innocent, and yet they had been dragged through the papers. All of their personal details had been exposed to the world. So, a very simple question this morning. Do you think that people accused of sex crime should be granted anonymity? 03453 009956. Now, I was listening to Molly's show earlier on. I know you're a little bit timid on the phones this morning. Why? Is it a nice day out there? Is it nice weather? I think it's all right today. Have you gone out? Well, shame on you for doing that. How dare you? How dare you? If you give us a call, there's a darn good chance you might get on the show. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You can also email ian.lee@bbc.co.uk.
Iain Lee
On BBC WM
95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You can also send me a text. I'm not so keen on texts, but if you want to send me a text, you can do. 81333, start your text WM. Now, Jill Sayward was the victim of rape. She's now a campaigner for victims' rights and joins me on the line now. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning.
Should people accused of sex crimes be granted anonymity?
No.
Tell me why.
I think it's very clear from what we've seen over the years that when you grant anonymity, you actually protect the people who may be offenders. And I think what we've seen is that quite often victims feel that it's their fault. It's a wrong assumption, but all sorts of things make them feel that it's their fault that this happened. And so they feel that they can't really go forwards because of that. But when they realise that it's happened to other people, this encourages them to actually go forward and actually say that it happened to them as well. And that's very, very important. And I think it's very true as well to say that when we did have anonymity, and that's what happened when I went through the system, I only found out the name of my attacker on the morning of court. And that system was totally and utterly abhorrent. You have far more things to concentrate on that day. It's not appropriate to throw that on top of what you're already going through. And that would be the situation if we went back to how it was before.
Do you mind telling us your story, Jill? What happened and how it came to court?
Right. Well,
only if you want to. I don't want to put you in an awkward position.
No.
Okay.
No. It's trying to keep it brief.
Okay.
4 men broke into the house. We were aware of 3 of them. They assaulted my dad and boyfriend, beat them up, and I was raped by one of them and indecently assaulted by the other. And one of them had no part in it. And as I said, the 4th man we didn't know about, so we didn't see him. They were arrested mainly from my descriptions afterwards and also information that came forward because there was a massive police investigation afterwards. And they were charged and the case went to court. It took 11 months for it to go to court. So I used to describe the men by the numbers in which I'd seen them. Mm. And people would say, why do you call them man 1, man 2, man 3, etc.? And I said, because for 11 months, that was how I knew them. And they weren't real people. They didn't become real people until they had names. And as I say, to have to go through that sort of scenario when you're trying to remember and prepare and not be nervous in a Crown Court situation is just not the time. It's not appropriate. You have all sorts of other things going on in your head. You don't need anything else there to mess it up. But I think it's true to say that, we have had in previous years, a lot of people who have come forward because somebody else has come forward. One of the ones that springs to mind in particular is John Warboys, the London taxi driver. Mm. People didn't know about him. People didn't know that this was happening. And yet I think over 100 people ended up coming forward with information saying that they'd been victims of his too. And it covered a wide area. So it was a wide geographical area as well. So like some of the other cases we've had, you can't even say, well, it's just a localised thing. So that if people just on the ground locally knew who it was, that doesn't cover the full picture. Because people are so transient these days, you have to get the information out in a way that says, if you have been a victim of this person, come forward, tell us, we will support you, we will listen to you. And everybody says, well, what about the wrongly accused?
This is exactly what I was about to ask you. The people that have had their names dragged through the papers, and people do think, mud sticks, there's no smoke without fire. And people have had their lives ruined because they've been wrongly accused, haven't they?
They have. There are some who have, and there are people who are falsely accused. But there are no more people who are falsely accused with rape than there are with any other crime. And I think what we see is a very, very small minority of people who have being persecuted, in a sense, by media and by the general public as a whole, because they don't actually listen to the facts. They don't wait for the facts to come forward. They make an instant judgment rather than keeping an open mind.
But that's what we do as humans, isn't it? Is we see a picture of a celebrity on the front page of a newspaper accused of rape or crime against a child, and that image sticks in our heads. And even if they get found not guilty, a lot of people will still think, well, you never know about it, dodgy.
I think that we have a problem there, though, because we say not guilty means that they didn't commit a crime. Now, that's two different things.
Yeah.
And we have to bear that in mind, and that's not to say again that everybody who's found not guilty did commit the crime, but a percentage of them did, because cases fail for all sorts of reasons.
And they get away with it, but there are people who are acquitted who never did anything, who were taken to court wrongly.
Yeah, that is true, and as I say, that is a very small minority. And at the moment, what we know is that only a tiny percentage of people are coming forward reporting cases. But we also know that at least 86,000 people a year are being raped. Now, we don't get that figure thrown at us very often. And what I'm saying is, when you actually put into balance the numbers of people, the amount of sexual violence that's going on in this country is at epidemic levels. We have to do something. And sadly, there will be some people who are casualties, but they're casualties of our making, because we're the ones who make the snap decisions rather than waiting. What we need to say is, this person has been accused, or this person has been suggested that there might be an issue around. Do I make my own decision, and do I possibly play safe and take precautions that I wouldn't have thought I'd needed to take? Or do we let people walk free, knowing potentially that they could actually be a rapist, and not give them the choice to sort of make that decision for themselves? And I think when you ask most rape victims, or if you say to them, if you knew that someone had the information and didn't let you know in advance that this person could be dangerous, how would you feel about it? And when people can answer that question, then we have the right to change things. Up until then, I don't believe we do.
Jill, very quickly, can I ask what happened to the men that attacked you?
One died. One got 10 years. He was the one who wasn't involved in the rape. The rapist got, he was sentenced to 10 years, first 6. And the person who indecently assaulted me served just over 5 years of an 8-year sentence.
Jill, I really appreciate your thoughts this morning. Thank you very much. Jill Saywood, victim of rape, you heard there, a particularly horrific attack, now campaigner for victims' rights. Over to you. She very strongly believes that there shouldn't be anonymity for people accused of sexual crimes. And let's be honest, it's mainly blokes, isn't it? It's mainly blokes that are accused of sex crimes. Very, very occasionally, it'll be a woman. It's mainly blokes. Should people accused of sex crimes be granted anonymity? 03453 009956. I don't know the answer. A year ago, 2 years ago, I knew the answer. The answer 2 years ago for me was yes, of course they should be given anonymity. And then Stuart Hall happened, and he wasn't given anonymity. His name was all over the papers, and that gave loads of people who had been attacked by him the courage and the confidence to come forward and speak up about it. 03453 009956. Let's go to Matt in Wolverhampton. Morning, Matt.
Morning.
Matt, what would you like to say?
It's a difficult one, isn't it, Ian? A teacher friend of mine was accused by one of her pupils of performing a sex act on him. And they published her name and address in the local paper several times. He went to trial. As the trial started, the lad admitted that he'd made it all up. And this was about 4 years ago. She's been unable to find a job since. No one will go anywhere near her.
Because of what happened?
Because of the accusation.
Even though it was the kid came out and said he made it all up, nothing had ever happened, she can't get a job as a teacher.
That's right.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. So I get the bit about Savile and all that, when, people coming up saying, yeah, it happened to me and what have you. but people need to remember the impact that it can have on people, on the innocent.
So what's she doing now, your friend? Just looking for work?
Just making money as she can, car boot sales.
Oh, blimey.
You know,
there's a skilled person with a skill and qualifications and things, and she can't use it.
It's all gone to waste just because some lad decided that he'd got a beef with this woman and he was going to stir it up for her.
Now, I'm going to say something, Max, just that's been prompted by that, but not specifically about that. And I'd like to get your thoughts. This is just coming into my head now, and it's going to come out, it's going to sound quite clumsy, OK? There have been a couple of stories in the last couple of weeks in the newspapers of women, female teachers, accused of having sex with 15-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Now, part of me kind of thinks, my initial knee-jerk reaction is, oh, lucky 15-year-old lad.
Mm-hmm.
But if it were the other way around, if it were an older male teacher with a 15-year-old girl, I would think, oh, you dirty so-and-so.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? Both are equally wrong. Both are illegal. Both could be considered... Well, both are considered to be abuse, particularly an abuse of power, but also people under the age of consent. Why is my knee-jerk reaction... This is born not out of intelligence or common sense. It's just my gut feeling when it's an older woman with a younger boy thinking, oh, lucky so-and-so.
Well, how do women feel when they read such stories?
I don't know. We can put it out there.
You know... Taking your perspective on it, is there a flip side to that? Do women think that when they read such stories?
Matt, we'll put it out there. This is coming out clumsy and awkwardly, and it's kind of popping up in my head. I think 2 stories the last 2 or 3 weeks. Older teachers, younger boys, 15. My initial reaction is, oh, lucky so-and-so. But it's insane to think that, because it's an abuse of power. Teachers having relationships with their pupils, never a good idea. And also, it is illegal. It's an older woman abusing a child under the age of consent. If it were the other way around, an older man with a 15-year-old girl, dirty so-and-so. It's odd, isn't it? And that's just my knee-jerk reaction, by the way, before you all mishear me and think I'm condoning that. I'm not. It's my knee-jerk reaction, then intelligence kicks in, thought kicks in, the thought process kicks in, and I realise it's inappropriate and it's wrong. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Roger's in Long Itchington. Morning, Roger.
Oh, hello, Ian.
Hello, Roger. What you got for us?
You was talking about... this fella that took his children out to a war zone.
Listen, we're going to play an interview I did with him a little bit later on, just after 10 o'clock, right? Is this Swedish guy, Carl Magnus Helgegren, right? And he had these 2 boys, 11 and 10, really into playing Call of Duty and other war games. He was sick to the back teeth of it, so he took them to Israel to go and see some refugee camps, and he took them to Syria to go and see what was going on there.
Fair play to him.
You reckon?
I think a lot of the majority of these children today, they're sat in front of PlayStations, computers, and what have you, or they're on the mobile phone. They're not getting the childhood that I had. I mean, they're not getting out, getting in the fresh air, doing something useful.
Well, there's Roger. There's going out and scrumping and climbing trees, and there's going out and standing where there was a gas attack in Syria. They're slightly different things, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing about it is, if you've got somebody that's into these war games, and like what they used to do, if the kids were smoking, the parents say, well, if you want to smoke, I'll buy you 20 fags and I'll sit in front of you while you smoke them. So it's more or less the same thing. You want to be into these war games? Let me take you and show you.
Hang on a minute.
Thing.
Are you telling me, Roger, that when you were a kid, you never played cowboys and Indians, you never played soldiers?
Oh, sure.
Well, they're just the kids these days. They're just playing the modern equivalent of it.
Yeah, but the thing, it's vastly different now. It's more.
Well, where's the difference?
I think it's more damaging to the brain actually. If you sat in front of these things, I've never experienced it, but I mean, I think it can sway people, can't it? Really.
I've got a great idea for a feature. We get you on an Xbox playing Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. It's a game.
Oh, right.
Would you be up for a game of that?
Oh, I've never played anything like that in my life.
I'm just thinking. Listen, but for those who don't know, Friday the 12th, I start doing Friday afternoons 2 till 4. Okay, so there's going to be Fridays and Saturdays of this show. Me and producer Joe, and we're kind of looking for other bits and pieces we can do. I would love to bring my Xbox round to your house one day, Roger, and let you have a go on Call of Duty.
I wouldn't know how to play it.
I'd teach you. Because it's interesting. A lot of people, and I'm not knocking you, Roger, a lot of people have a go at these video games and they've never seen them. So they don't quite know what they're so upset about.
But if you see what I've got to do here...
Yeah, what you got to do?
You'd think, well, no, the poor fella ain't got the time for this.
What have you got to do there, Roger? What have you got?
I've got a small holding.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
I've got plenty to do. I've got enough garden ground to... You see, this is another thing.
Yeah.
These people that have got to keep fit, so they go and pay God knows how much money to a keep fit centre.
Oh, that's a rip-off.
If they got an allotment and a corner shovel, they could grow their own stuff and keep fit at the same time.
What are you growing in your allotment, Roger?
Oh, everything. It's been a good year for potatoes. It's been runner beans, onions ain't too bad, sea kale, that sort of stuff. Cabbages I can't grow for love of the money because the whitefly have them.
Are your tomatoes struggling this year, Roger?
Tomatoes, I don't grow tomatoes, to be quite honest. The wife tries, but it's a mediocre effort, I have to say.
My little boy, he's 4.5, and he's got a little corner of the garden.
Yeah.
And in it, he grows all kinds of things. He's been growing strawberries.
Yeah.
He's also growing potatoes.
Yeah.
He grew... what did he grow? He grew carrots.
Carrots, radishes.
Parsnips.
Lettuce.
He grew some radishes for the rabbits, yeah.
Yeah, I used to do that. When I started off with radish and lettuce, you can start... But bully for you for getting him into something like that, you know.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it.
I mean, if you got kids... I mean, I've got a place here.
Yeah.
And you'd think, I mean, when I was a kid, I was always on somebody, because there used to be, it was a nation of small farmers, family farmers then, which is not now. But, I mean, I was never in the house,
Yeah.
I went, my mother and her friend was waiting to go to Leamington on the bus one day, and there was me, like, just coming out the back of edge, as rough as ready as you like. I said, I'll go into Leamington with you, ma'am. She says, no, you won't. She says, you stop where you are now.
Yeah. Roger, listen, it's really nice to talk to you, mate. Are you in the garden or in the allotment today?
I've got it onto the house, so...
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
in there, yeah.
All right, Roger, listen, have a good one. Thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. We're on to something, though, producer Joe. Friday the 12th... 2 till 4, we start doing... The whole BBC WM kind of shifts around a little bit. I've got Fridays, 2 till 4, me and producer Joe, as well as Saturdays, 9 till 12. That's staying, OK? So you get an extra couple of hours. And we're sort of looking... We're not quite sure yet what to do with the Friday show. We don't quite know. It'd be similar. Might be a little bit lighter to this, I don't know. But we're kind of talking about things to do. I would love... So far, I think we're going to go to Imran's and watch a video of his mate getting lifted up by a ghost and thrown across the room. I think that's happening. I would love to go to a pensioner's house, someone who has never played Call of Duty, take my Xbox and teach them how to play. Because we get lots of people, and I'm going to generalise, but accept this as the generalisation it is. We get lots of people who knock video games, and they tend to be older people. They tend to be older people who've never played them. They've never played them. Oh, these video games, they're horrible. They're dangerous. They're damaging to kids. Well, if you've never played one, you don't necessarily know. So, if you're an older person, what does that mean? 65, 70 and over? And you'd be up for me and producer Joe popping round half an hour one day to record you playing Call of Duty. I'll bring the tea bags. Then give us a call, 03453 009956. I think that would be quite good. The reason we're talking about it, and we'll play it in a few minutes, is the Swedish fellow we chatted to. He took his 10 and 11-year-old boys to Syria and Israel because they were talking about fighting and wars and video games and, I want to play Call of Duty. He took them to a war zone. Now, part of me thinks, well, that's really forward-thinking parenting there. Well done. That 30% of me thinks that. 70% thinks, what a plum. You took your kids to a war zone? You listen to it. I won't give away too many more details. You have a listen. 03453 009956. 105856 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Just got an email on what I was saying there. Cliff says, Ian, the difference between Cowboys and Indians and computer games is the computer game shows graphic images of blood and guts. No imagination required. Whereas Cowboys and Indians is a game of imagination. Thought you'd realise this. Au contraire, Cliff. Again, I'm guessing you've not played Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto. There's still imagination involved. It's not completely passive. You still imagine. You make up a backstory. You make up things. It's not completely passive. And in Cowboys and Indians, what are you doing there? You're playing a game of racial segregation and violence. That's what you're playing. You're suppressing the natives through violence. Hey, guys, should we go and play a quick game of suppressing the natives through violence? Yeah? Should we do that? That's what Cowboys and Indians is. 03453 009956 is the phone number. Already the show has 40 minutes in and we've gone off on tangents, and I love it. I love it when we do. This isn't one of those shows, the first hour we're talking about this, and then in the second hour, and in the third hour we... No. It's one of those shows, I throw out stuff, you call in and talk about it, you call in and talk about whatever you fancy as well. So far, should people accused of sex crimes be granted anonymity? Video games and taking your kids to war zones, and can we find a pensioner who wants us to come round and play Call of Duty with us? 03453 009956. On the subject of anonymity, it's James. Morning, James.
Morning.
What would you like to say?
Yeah, I was listening to your conversation with that woman, and I believe it's actually right the way it is at the moment.
So this was Jill, who was a victim of rape, and she thinks right. that there shouldn't be anonymity for people accused of sex crimes, but there should be the anonymity for accusers.
Yeah, because the way I see it, I mean, like what's happened, you know, in the past with some of these celebrities and that, but not just celebrities, other people as well.
Yeah.
I think when one person comes forward, it can give the other people courage to come forward. You know, sometimes it just takes one, doesn't it, to get other people to act. You know, and the other thing, but one thing I do think should happen, is when they're found innocent, then I really believe that there should be a media drive to publicise that they are being found innocent, because sometimes you find people accused of things, then you don't hear nothing of it again.
Exactly.
And people wonder if you know, I wonder if they did it or didn't they do it. I think the media could play a big part in that, the newspapers, the radios and TV, you know, to actually help to clear the person's name, because there's nothing worse, surely it's nothing worse for anyone, you know, to be accused.
Well, James, you say there shouldn't be anonymity for people accused of sex crimes. We just had a caller about a female teacher, a young lad, made up a story that she'd abused him. It started to go to court, got in the press. He then came out and said, all right, do you know what, I made it up. 4 years later, no one will give her a job.
I know. I mean, the thing is, though,
her life is ruined because of a lie.
Yeah, but when she was found innocent, what was the media coverage then?
Probably none of it. Probably nothing. It's not a story, is it? Local teacher Jane Smith accused of abusing a boy of 14. Big story. Young lad makes up lie about woman. It's not going to get the coverage.
No, but you know, that's where it's all wrong, really. You know, the media can be like the devil, to be honest with you. I mean, I know they've got things to sell and they want people to watch their shows and whatnot, but I think it's got to be a two-way street. They have to, like, you know, when someone's innocent, publicise that they're innocent. But also, I wanted to say about what you were saying, you know, when you were talking about the that same thing, and you were saying your attitude was like, you know, good on him and all that.
Well, this is my knee-jerk attitude. Yeah. You're talking about when the female teacher and a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah.
My knee-jerk attitude when I read it is always, oh, well done, good luck for him. That's my knee-jerk. And then I think about it and I get the implication that it's a child and it's an abuse of power and all of that. But yes, my knee-jerk reaction is kind of punching the air, yes.
I mean, when you read the newspapers and sometimes read the comments, what people have put down, the majority of, you know, people put down what you said, oh, good on him, young lad and all that. But what they've got to realise is abuse is abuse.
Yeah.
And it happens with women abuse just as much as men. You know, and until we change that attitude of like, oh, he's just a good lad and all that, you know, it won't change. And to be honest with you, a lot of women will be getting away with it because of that attitude.
James, listen, thank you very much indeed for that. And I'm being completely honest by saying that. I wouldn't normally come on the radio and say, yes, my first reaction when I hear of a teacher having sex with a 15-year-old is, yeah, well done. Good luck on him. And I'm kind of putting I'm kind of exposing myself slightly. Inappropriate choice of phrase there, considering the conversation. But I'm being honest with you. That's my knee-jerk reaction most of the time. I then sensibility, thought kicks in, and I see it for what it is. It's an abuse of power. It's child abuse. It is child abuse. But why do we look at it slightly differently when it's a bloke doing it to a boy? A woman doing it to a boy over a bloke doing it to a girl, or a bloke doing it to a boy. Why do we look at it differently? 03453 009956. Dave, Malcolm, stay there. We'll come to you in a second. It's 9:45. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. As you make your way onto the M6, there's still a couple of ladders in the middle lane of the carriageway between 6 and 7 on the northbound side. Spaghetti Junction to Great Bar, the A34. So just be a bit careful around there. Expect delays on the M54 around Junction 3, the A41 exit, but also on the A5 as you head away from Gailey towards that area, the A41 itself, because of a lot of traffic once again heading towards Weston Park for the V Festival, which continues across the weekend. There are shuttle bus services that you can take as well if you're not going to go under your own steam, but obviously expect delays. Thousands of people are making their way around there as indeed today and tomorrow. Now, your match day travel sees most games are at home today, but you will find that Wolverhampton Wanderers are heading off to Rotherham for this afternoon's game. Traffic is looking okay as you head along the A38 or indeed the M42 to get onto the M1 and then go north. There are roadworks 28 to 31 on the M1 to contend with, so just be aware of that with lane and speed restrictions in place between the A38 exit at junction 28 and the Worksop junction at junction 31, the A57. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Friend or foe, we'll share this dream. Let rivalries return. Get behind your team. The penalty injustice or great first touch. We love the drama. The beautiful game means so much. We'll not shy away from a challenge. We've been dragged through the dirt. Stand up and show your true colours. Kiss the badge on your shirt. You always need someone to share every moment. We'll be there till the season's end. Your club is our club. The goal horn awaits, my football friend.
The station for commentary this season.
BBC WM
95.6.
Did he say goal horn? I think he said goal horn. Gosh. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. We are 48 minutes into the show, and it's all over the shop already. Should there be anonymity for people accused of sex crimes? Kids playing war games? It's no different from when you used to play Cowboys and Indians. And can you be honest and admit to me that when you hear the story of an older female teacher having sex with a 15-year-old pupil boy, part of you goes, yes, son, well done. Now, I'm not making light of it. That is my knee-jerk reaction, and that is me being completely honest with you. It's my knee-jerk. By that, I mean the first thing that comes to mind when we hear something. It's not always born out of intelligence. It's not born out of sense. It's not born out of experience. It's just... And then intelligence kicks in, and I realise it's an abuse of power, it's child abuse, and it's inappropriate. Where does that come from? 03453 009956. And I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. I know often I've said things on the radio, and people have not really listened to what I've said. I'm not in any way condoning teachers having sex with 15-year-old kids. I'm not, OK? Let me just say that for the record. Dave's in Coleshill. Morning, Dave.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. What would you like to say?
Well, I've got an opinion on the child abuse story.
Yeah, go on.
The teacher. I've got a story that addresses a lot of the issues on this.
Oh, here we go. Go on.
When I was 15, I lost my virginity to my girlfriend's mum, who was 33.
Gosh.
Yeah, and take it from me, I had a great time. I couldn't get enough of it. It lasted for about a month until...
Wow, a month? You mean over years?
Yeah. It lasted. Until I had a fight with my brother. I wouldn't lend him a tenner or something like that.
Yeah.
And he grassed me up to my mum.
Oh, no. Okay.
Now, when my mum found out, she came to me and asked me about it. Did it happen? Yeah. And everything. and she went down there and she absolutely battered the living daylights out of her, and came back and said, right, son, I mean, this is in the late 70s, I've sorted that hussy out for you. She won't be violating you anymore. And that was like, in my best schoolboy voice, oh, thanks for that, Mum. Thanks for that. And I turned to my brother and I pointed and I said, I'm going to rip your throat out for this. And that just about sums it up in a nutshell. So, obviously, when stories like this come up, I have an anecdotal opinion on it. You know what I mean?
It is... I can't quite get my head around this whole thing, Dave, because I look back to when I was 15, and if someone's mum had cracked onto me, I would probably have been, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is inappropriate, and looking from the outside, I can see that as potentially an abuse of power.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, in the context of school teacher and pupil, then obviously there are boundaries to be crossed. They know the rules and they shouldn't cross that.
But your girlfriend's mum, that's kind of a boundary that shouldn't be crossed, isn't it?
Well, I don't really know. There was a legal boundary crossed, obviously, because I was still 15.
Yeah.
You know, looking at it from an adult's point of view, because I'm 50 odd now. But at the time, and to be honest, you know, I don't think it's had an effect on me whatsoever.
So you don't look back, Dave, at any point and regret what happened in that month?
I regret not lending my brother that tenner.
Yeah. And I've got to ask, when I'm assuming your girlfriend of the time found out, what did she say?
I don't know, because I never saw her after that.
Wow.
To be honest.
Dave, listen, thank you very much. It's an interesting one, this, and we're going to have to, I guess, slightly try and put our judgments to one side. Thank you, Dave, for phoning up and being honest. Going to have to slightly put our judgments to one side on this. If I'm being honest with you by saying my knee-jerk reaction when I hear of an older female teacher or an older woman and a younger man, 15, my knee-jerk reaction is, hey. And if you're gonna be honest with me, I need to put my judgments to one side and allow you to come on and tell your stories. You've heard that story there. It was Dave, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm terrible with names. I forget them as soon as they've gone. You've heard Dave's story there. He's 15. Was seduced by his girlfriend's mum, the morals of it being his girlfriend's mum to one side. She was in her 30s. He was 15. What's your take on that story? Because if it had been a bloke in his 30s and a 15-year-old girl, I can guarantee you'd be phoning up saying, dirty old pedo, hang him, flog him, name and shame. Is it different? Oh, the producer Joe's cough went through the soundproof glass. Is it different because it's a woman in her 30s and a 15-year-old boy? Again, my knee-jerk reaction is, yeah, it is different. But I don't know why. I can't explain why. I really need your help with this one. And isn't it interesting? Because this wasn't going to be the subject of conversation. This is why I love doing this show at BBC WM 95.6, because you start with one thing, and instead of just asking one question and sticking rigidly to it, we just go off in all different tangents. So thank you for that. Thank you, Dave. Cracking call. You've heard Dave's story. He was 15. She was in her 30s. Is it different? Would it be different? Would you view that scenario differently if it had been a bloke in his 30s and a 15-year-old girl?
Middleton, Mile, Moseley, Oldbury, Pattingham.
Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
Hey up, Malcolm. Malcolm.
Yes, I'm here.
Good
Can you
morning.
hear me?
What did you reckon to that story you just heard from Dave?
Well, I don't know. I mean, quite possibly some of us might think, oh, lucky lad, but, you know, it's hard to say, isn't it, these days?
If your initial thought is lucky lad, supposing it'd been a woman calling in saying that when she was 15 she'd had sex with a man in his mid-30s, would you think differently?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling sometimes to think how the female mind works these days.
Well, hey, listen, if anybody knows how the female mind works, then please do get in touch and let me know. But go on, Malcolm. What are you called in about?
What I called in about was I wanted you just to say, when you was talking about the Call of Duty with the Xbox, about getting OAPs to do it.
Yep.
and all that. What you've got to remember is a lot of us OAPs have probably been there, done that in real life.
Oh.
And that's why they won't be bothered about it.
I suppose so. Do you? I mean, part of we're going to play the interview after 10 of this Swedish guy who was sick and tired of his kids banging on about video games.
Yeah.
So he took them to a war zone. Have you served, Malcolm?
I have, yes.
So. When you know that young people, and I do it as well, when you hear that people younger than you are playing video games that are supposed to simulate war, what's your reaction?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, young people, you think, well, maybe if they're doing it, at least if they get into the habit of doing it like that, when they get older, they might need to do it for real life, so they might know what they're doing a little bit than what they would do normally. You see. But maybe that sort of thing, because obviously when I was in there doing it, we didn't have such things as like all these practice things. You was just told there, keep your head down and do what you're told.
Oh, they use it. The army. I know the American army. I'm guessing the British army. They use video games as training tools.
That's it. Well, that's it. So they didn't. I mean, they didn't in us. What I'm getting at, Ian, is us OAPs in our days didn't have that sort of thing to practice with or anything like that.
Would you be up for us coming round with my Xbox and you playing Call of Duty with me?
No, God, I don't want to do that.
Tell me why.
Because I've done it all. I said I've done it in real life. I don't want to do it now. We get enough of it on the TV we like to watch anyway.
But exactly, is there any difference between playing a video game that's simulating war and watching, like a John Wayne film or something?
Maybe because if you're doing an Xbox of it, you're sort of telling the person there what to do, whereas watching a film, you're not, are you? You just got to watch what they're doing.
And that makes a difference, does it? You're more passive watching a film than you are when you're playing a game.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, obviously that's what they're told to do, and that's their acting, that's the actor's role. But with that Xbox, I imagine you're controlling the figures on that screen, aren't you?
Yeah, you're telling them when to lob a grenade, when to shoot someone, when to stab someone.
That's why I'm saying. So if you've been there and done that, you're not really bothered about wanting to do it, in fantasy, as it were.
And finally, Malcolm, the gentleman we're going to speak to, he took his 10 and 11-year-old boys to Israel to go and look at some refugee camps, and to Syria where there'd been the gas attack. Is that appropriate, taking kids of that age there?
Well, I don't know, it's a bit. I mean, he's lucky he can afford to go and do it. Never mind anything else these days.
There's something, Malcolm. Listen, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your time. We'll play the interview in a little bit. It's incredible. And he sounds like a sensible, rational gentleman. He took his 10 and 11-year-old boys to Syria, where the gas attacks had been, and to Israel to look at refugee camps. Is that really appropriate? 03453 9956. Ian, I'm a gamer. These are some texts. Lucy says, I'm a gamer, but I wouldn't let my young kids play 18-rated games like Manhunt or Grand Theft Auto. That's the thing. They've got ratings on, guys. Parents need to ensure that children play age-appropriate games because the graphics are so realistic. Most parents wouldn't let their young children watch 18-rated movies, so it should be just the same with computer games. Paul says, on the subject of people accused of sex crimes remaining anonymous, imagine how Cliff must feel now. This should have been kept quiet until it was investigated fully. Even if found not guilty, the damage is already done to his life. And Dave, in Frankly, says the parent taking his kids to a war zone should be charged with endangering their lives. The bloke's an idiot. It's a tough one, this one. We'll play the interview in a few minutes, OK? So stay tuned. You'll want to hear it because he doesn't sound like an idiot. He sounds like he's thought it out. He sounds like he's making a well-rationed argument. We'll talk about that. We'll carry on talking about anonymity for people accused of sex crimes. And are you like me? And be honest, when you hear of an older woman having sex with, let's say, a 15-year-old boy, is your first reaction to go, get in there, son? But yet, if it were a bloke doing it to a girl, you think, oh, you dirty old so-and-so. Wouldn't you? 03453 00 9956.
With full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 10 o'clock. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the news now. Here's Rob Mayer.
Good morning. Police and emergency services have been called to Tilbury Docks in Essex after more than 30 people were found in a container. One man has died. Many other people are said to have significant health problems. The container arrived on a ship from Zeebrugge in Belgium. The group is said to include a number of children. The Pentagon says airstrikes by US drones have destroyed 2 armed vehicles close to the town of Sinjar in northern Iraq. The strikes followed reports of new attacks by Islamic State militants on civilians. The UN has adopted a British-drafted resolution to impose sanctions on anyone who provides finance or weapons to the group. 3 people have been given urgent medical treatment after having what police describe as serious side effects when they took some blue pills at V Festival in Staffordshire. Officers say the 3 believe the pills were ecstasy. None of them needed to go to hospital. Speaking ahead of the festival, Superintendent Elliot Williams said they were the kind of things they'd be looking out for.
Controlled drugs, illegal highs. They're not really policing matter illegal highs, but if you bring illegal highs to the site and security staff for the police find them, you'll be ejected and we'll confiscate them from you.
Health bosses at a Birmingham hospital say a salmonella outbreak could have come from the community. There have been 43 cases in the West Midlands, with many linked to Heartlands Hospital, where 3 people with underlying conditions died. A review at the hospital's already ruled out food and water on site being the root cause of the infection. Dr. Mamouna Sahir is a health protection consultant.
It's not something that is alarming. However, in this particular situation, I think when it's hospital, infection control measures are stepped up and it can be prevented by adequately cooking poultry and eggs. It can also be prevented by good hygiene measures. So I wouldn't alarm people. I would just say that, it can be prevented.
Almost 2/3 of top tourist destinations in the UK have admitted they're not fully accessible to wheelchair users. A survey by the disability charity Vitalise revealed only 13% had trained their staff in how to deal with people with a disability. Tourist attractions such as Sarhole Mill in Hall Green and Aston Hall are among those in Birmingham which wheelchair users can't fully access. Anna Fawcett is from Winterbourne House and Gardens. She's told BBC WM they've managed to make all but one room there wheelchair accessible.
Several things that if you've got a listed building you're not able to do, but there are ways and means to make certain parts of the building more accessible, which we've been lucky enough to be able to do. But it's always a struggle, and it's something that we never see as being finished. And we try to take on board feedback from customers that come and say, actually, have you thought about doing this?
In sport, the West Bromwich Albion head coach Alan Irvine says a united front will give them a much better chance of succeeding this season. The Baggies kick off against Sunderland at the Hawthorns, with Irvine keen to win the fans over quickly following his arrival earlier in the summer.
There's no question that the fans want the same as everybody else does at the club. We all want success. We all want the team to play well. We all want the team to get good results, and if we all work together, we've got a better chance of achieving that.
Elsewhere, Villa get their season underway with a trip to Stoke City this afternoon. Birmingham City look for their first home win in 10 months against Brighton. Wolves are away at Rotherham and Walsall are at home to Bradford. Looking at the weather, a bright start today. Sunny spells this morning. Going to be cloudier this afternoon, though. Highs of 19 Celsius. That's 66 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee.
Saturdays 9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Producer Joe and I are coming up with some fantastic ideas for what we're going to do when we take over Fridays 2 till 4. When's that, you shout? September the 12th. From Friday, September the 12th, this show will be on 2 till 4, as well as Saturday mornings. That's going to carry on, so don't worry. We're having some good ideas with what we can do with it. I think we've got some fun stuff. Anyway, let's focus on this morning. What are we talking about? Well, this is a perfect example of why I love doing this show so much. We've started using Cliff Richard as our springboard to ask the age-old question, should people accused of sex crimes be granted anonymity? One of Cliff Richard's houses was raided this week. It was on all the TV channels, all the radio, all the papers. He's on the papers again this morning. Well, should we know that someone has accused him of doing something like this? Should this be private? Your stories on that. It's kind of gone off into all different kinds of tangents, including... why do I think differently? And I'm going to say it. Why do most blokes think that when they hear a story of an older woman having sex with a 15-year-old boy, they go, "Four"? But if it were the other way around, we'd be thinking dirty old so-and-so. Now, listen, that's my knee-jerk reaction, but for those who've just tuned in, I'm not condoning it, I'm not saying it's right. Of course it's not right. Particularly when it's a teacher. It's an abuse of power, but... it's illegal, but my initial reaction, and if you're a bloke, I'm going to suggest your initial reaction is to think, oh, lucky so-and-so. Why is that? And also in this hour, we're going to hear the interview with a Swedish guy who was so upset with his two kids playing and talking about violent video games, he took them to a war zone. Yeah. 03453 00 9956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00
9956.
BBC WM
95.6.
And also this morning, we're looking for a pensioner, male or female, who has never played a video game, that wants producer Joe and myself to pop round to your house. I'll bring my Xbox and we'll play Call of Duty. Don't matter if you've never played it before, I'll teach you how to play it. We often get older people complaining about video games, the violence in video games, the effect that video games have on younger people, when they've never actually seen one, let alone played. Oh, that caller's just dropped off. Get that caller back. Who've never played one, never seen one, let alone played it. So, we're going to right that wrong. If you're a pensioner, let's say 65 and over. A little bit windy pop. Sorry, that coffee went down the wrong hole. And you'd like us to pop round, we'll pop round for half an hour. We'll bring tea bags. We might bring cakes if you're lucky. And we'll play Call of Duty on my Xbox. Would you be up for that? 03453 00 9956. Jane's in Stourbridge. Morning, Jane.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
Do you know what, Jane?
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Oh, that's lovely.
My wife and children are away for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I have been enjoying the house to myself. I've been watching films. I've been having pizza. I've been walking around in my pants. It's been wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
I know.
Wonderful.
Right.
Yes.
Ian, the reason I've rung this morning
Go on, Jane.
I think it's the culture. I don't know where it came from, but I think people tend to accept it when it's a younger man with an older woman.
Right.
Even if they get married and they've got a massive age gap. But when it's a younger woman with an older man, my partner is about 20 years older than me.
Wow.
And when we are together, people sort of look and think, I think they think he's a dirty man. But I prefer older.
Did you say
man.
a what man? A dirty man?
I have that feeling, you know, when you're walking and people are looking. Well,
Yeah.
It could be, yeah. And you think they're giving him a dirty look.
Jane, can I ask, how old are you and how old is your dirty husband?
I am now 40.
Oh, okay.
And he's 70.
Whoa!
I absolutely love it.
So it's a 30-year age gap?
Yeah.
And when did you get together? How old were you when you got together?
I was in my 26.
So you're 26, he was 56.
Yeah.
You've managed to... My issue, and you've kind of proved me wrong, but I don't think that age gaps that long, that big, generally can work in a relationship because you haven't got the same point of reference. My wife is 5 years younger than me, and I'll talk about music or TV programmes, and she'll have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's very true, but I think having a younger wife is better than having an older wife, I think.
Right.
I can adjust and he can he let me do things when I want to of my age and go out and all that.
Oh.
And we sort of compromise.
Yeah.
But I prefer it that way.
Okay. Could you ever go out with a younger man?
No.
No.
Because I feel like I'm going to be mothering him.
Jane, what about a passionate, physical, hot young stud that just grabs hold of you and throws you on the bed?
No.
And then asks you to make a supper? No?
I think he's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think even if it it finishes at some point, I just prefer older man to younger man.
I'm trying to work out your accent. Don't tell me. Don't tell me, because it's wonderful. It's a wonderful accent, and I'm trying to work it out. It's not Barbados, is it?
No.
What? Jamaica?
No.
Oh, it's not.
Well, someone else thought it was Jamaican, but it's not.
It's got a hint of Jamaican, but I can't... Go on, then, where is it?
It's South Africa.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is Southern Africa.
It's not. Can you say, I want to have a go on the slide, please?
I want to go on the slide, please.
No, it's not South African. South Africans say, I want to have a go on the slide, please.
So is that so what do you think this is?
Well, it's not South African. You're lying. Why would you lie to me, Jane? Don't lie.
It's Southern Africa. I've given you a clue, Ian.
I don't know my Africa too well. Hang on a minute. Let me get a map of. Matt, can you work out?
Look at Southern Africa.
Matt, can you work out what her accent is?
No, I couldn't at all. But I wouldn't mind having her
steady,
having her out for the evening.
Steady.
She's a very nice girl, very understanding type.
Is it? Are you from? You're not from Mozambique, are you?
Very close to Mozambique.
Zimbabwe.
Absolutely.
Boom, boom, shakalaka. Okay, Zimbabwe. That's lekker, yeah? Yeah, I can speak Zimbabwean. Yeah. You all do, this is the thing, instead of... I know it's politically incorrect, bear with me. Back in the day, we used to do jokes about Irish people in this country. We don't do it anymore. You used to do jokes about a bloke called Vanden Murphy, didn't you?
No.
You've never heard of Vanden Murphy?
No.
Oh, I had a Zimbabwean friend who'd tell me jokes about how do you confuse Vanden Murphy? You tell him to go in, put him in a circular room and tell him to stand in the corner. You don't do those jokes.
No.
No, Jane. Well, I'm glad. Oh, Jane, listen, lovely to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you very. What a lovely accent. I wish I had an accent. Matt, let's hear your accent.
Hello.
Oh, it's not as good as Jane's, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hers was something special. What have you got for us?
Who are you talking to? Me, is it?
Yeah, are you Matt?
I'm Matt, yes.
Yes, I'm talking to you, Matt,
You know, this school teacher is supposed to be committing an offence with a young fella, or a sex offence. It shouldn't be called that at all. It should be called tuition.
Well,
I mean,
now...
she's a school teacher.
Yes, right,
and she was
okay.
just teaching him about sex as well.
Yes, but Matt, the thing is, this is wrong on two levels. And I know you come from a slightly different world. It's wrong on two levels. You can't have teachers having it away with their pupils, because there is a professional relationship there that should not be breached sexually. It's an abuse of power.
I see some of your point, but we'll say, take me for instance.
No, thank you.
I lived in a village, and it was very religious kind of village. But there was a lady there, and she was as old as my mother. Now she was a widow. And I was working for another man, you see, on the farm, doing a bit. And we were just talking. He was telling me about the bits of nice stuff and good stuff when he was a kid, like, you see. Yeah. And he mentioned this particular woman. So I thought to myself, well, now this would be a good chance for me. So I tapped it up, and it was working fairly well. And who come around while we were in action? But the padre himself, he come around to bless the house.
Wow.
But when he seen what was going on, he just hopped it for the time being, but he called back again. So she must be advising a lot of people into that area, you see, you know.
Yes. And how old were you, Matt?
I was 15 and delighted to get the chance, you know. Delighted to be shown the more finer points of the game.
Yes.
It's
what a
a
game
thing
it is.
like anything else. If you're good at it, your woman will never go away from you.
Matt, thank you very much indeed. I mean, listen, I don't want for a second anyone to think we're being flippant about this, but Matt did use the phrase, I tapped it up. We're not being flippant about it. I've asked you for your honesty and for your stories, and we're getting them. Thank you. And I did say that if you're going to be honest with me, I kind of have to put judgment to one side. That's how it works. So, Matt, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that. Matt was 15. He had sex with someone who was the same age as his mum. Had it been the other way around, though, wouldn't we have thought differently? If it had been a 15-year-old girl having sex, being tapped up, to use the colloquialism, by someone older, the same age as her dad, we would think differently, wouldn't we? We would. Why is it? 03453 009956. And please, I know that people hear what they want to hear. We're not in any way making light of it, OK? That was Matt's way of expressing his own personal story. And I have said, if you're going to be honest with me, I sort of have to put judgment to one side and let you come on and tell your stories. OK, so thank you, Matt, for that. Andy, stay there, be with you in a second. It's 10:15, it's BBC WM 95.6. Here's Liz with the travel.
Thank you very much, Ian. Slightly better news on one bit of the M6. Northbound, they've moved those ladders out of the way between 6 and 7 Spaghetti Junction through towards Great Bar. Further up is heavy going 10A to 11A, the M54 to the M6 toll, heading into the roadworks, but also there's quite a bit of traffic heading for the V Festival at Weston Park. And if you're going north on the M6, you are advised to come off at Junction 10A and head for Weston Park along the M54 towards Junction 3 in that direction. Nearer to Weston Park from the M54 and on the A41 and the A5, there are various traffic restrictions in place, temporary speed limits, temporary road closures, Mill Lane, Chatwell Lane, Chester Road, for example. So just be aware of that. It is going to take you a little bit longer to get along that stretch because of the V Festival taking place and the thousands of people expected across the weekend. Now, your match day travel sees Wolverhampton Wanderers travelling to Rotherham United, a good couple of hours journey. But traffic is looking OK along the A38 as you head towards the M1. The M1 going north, just be aware there are roadworks 28 to 31 to contend with. And now, Villa fans are heading for Stoke City this afternoon. Ordinarily, it's only an hour's journey. However, we have word that the M6 is currently closed in both directions. Between 15 and 16, the Stoke exits, and traffic is quickly queuing and building in the area. So if you are planning to go to the Villa game at Stoke City this afternoon, you might want to allow a bit of extra time.
You've run out of music.
That's very important information.
I know.
If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Are we done?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Hunted.
Julianne, are we going to do this?
You're going to do it. You're going to do it.
That's what we like.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
I need some more information. OK, so we're going straight over into Church Road and then into Priory.
Can't go anywhere without cracking the clue.
What's your name?
My name is Caroline Hutton, and I am the hunter.
Oh, shame, Duddums. Hush now, Morgan.
Hunted.
This Sunday morning from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. I've said Scott has tweeted me. My boy Stanley is giggling when you were asking the old man to play Call of Duty. Come on now. Why was he laughing at that? It's a genuine offer. We want an older person to play Call of Duty so they can see what it's all about. Andy's on the line. Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Ian. How you doing?
Oh, you don't sound like an older man. You sound younger than me.
You're so kind on a Saturday morning.
I want a pensioner to play Call of Duty with me.
So do I.
It'll be fun, wouldn't it? And also, let's be honest. If they've, they might be a little bit rusty to start with, but if they've served in the forces,
that's right.
They'll know what they're doing.
We'll know all the flanking manoeuvres and everything, wouldn't it? It'd be so funny.
He would know all the flanking manoeuvres.
It'd be great.
Anyway, Andy, what have you called in about this morning?
Anyway, that's the point I'm calling in about. Honest, this chap that was speaking earlier about the youth and misspent time and all they ever do, and they want to get out and do it for real. Whatever. My stepson, he's just 18.
Oh yeah.
He's had a misspent youth. All he's ever done for last 4 or 5 years is sit in his bedroom playing Call of Duty.
He's done what? He's done what in his bedroom? He's been sitting in his bedroom.
He's been sitting in his bedroom.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes.
Yeah, and it's not really done him any harm, to be honest. His pizza's in there and one thing and another. Funny enough, he's off to Catterick Garrison tomorrow to join the Mercian Regiment. So, whether he's learnt anything from his flanking manoeuvres that he's been doing on Call of Duty, it's hopefully going to put him in good stead.
So he's off serving.
He's off serving tomorrow. He's off on his first day. His mother and I are taking him to Catterick tomorrow. And he's been accepted. Done his...
Does that... Listen, because... my boys, I want my boys to do whatever makes them happy. If they want to become a scientist, a lawyer, a bus driver, whatever makes them happy. I would be very anxious and uncomfortable with them joining the military.
I am very anxious, very happy because he's achieved his dreams.
Let's be honest, right, and I say this, and I don't say this to be flippant, there is a chance at some point he could get killed.
There is, absolutely.
He's your stepson, but how does that make you and his mum feel?
We're happy that he's achieved his dreams. We're very anxious, very happy, sad at the same time. It's his dream. He wanted to join at 16 and we refused. We said that you need to go on and do your 2 years of further education.
Yeah.
He done that. He achieved his grades that he needed. He's worked very hard for the last 2 years. And he then done his 2 years further education, and he come out and his views hadn't changed.
Would you ever try? Would you have you gone out to the pub with him, gone out for a meal, gone out for a walk, and tried to talk him out of it?
Not to talk him out of it, but to understand why he wants to take that path. Not to talk him out of it at all. It's very difficult. It's his dream. You can say, I don't want you to do it. We didn't want him to do it initially at 16, but he hasn't wavered. He hasn't wavered, and that's the career path. And there's, I know a few people that have taken the military route, and there is a chance you're going to get killed. But we could say that, in everyday life. Yeah. All right, you're
there's more chance if you're in a war zone.
Yeah, there is, absolutely. Yeah.
Andy, very quickly, because listen, you sound like a bloke's bloke, and I mean that as a compliment. I'm going to throw something at you. I just want your knee-jerk reaction, okay?
Go on.
45-year-old bloke having it away with a 15-year-old girl.
Totally wrong.
45-year-old woman having sex with a 15-year-old boy.
Although it's totally wrong, I've got to say, get in there, son.
Now, why is that?
I don't know.
Isn't it interesting?
I had the conversation with my wife. We've been listening to you this morning. We do think... But then when you sit down and analyse it, it is as bad both ways, isn't it? So, but you do think your initial reaction is, come on, son, get in there.
Andy, listen, I really appreciate your honesty today, and this is what it's all about. It's about you being honest. I'm not going to make judgments. I want your honest reaction. Because I've got a feeling more blokes feel like this, but they don't say it because, well, it is frowned upon, and rightly so. 45-year-old bloke, 15-year-old girl, dirty old so-and-so. 45-year-old woman, 15-year-old boy, get in there, son. Why? Why is that? And we've had blokes talking about this. Women, I need your reaction. What's your reaction? Do you look on it differently? Older woman, younger boy, as opposed to older man, younger girl? 03453 00 9956. And this is how this show goes. Andy's just come up with a cracking topic, which we could never have come up with. We could never have crammed into the show. But his 18-year-old boy is joining the army. That would scare the life out of me. I pray that my boys never want to join the military, never want to serve. Because it would terrify me thinking my kids were firing guns at people. There's a chance they could get shot, blown up out of the sky. It would terrify me. 03453 00 9956. And I love it because this has come from nowhere. OK, but we can do this as well. Your thoughts. Maybe you joined the army when you were 16, 18. Maybe your kids wanted to and you taught them out of it and it created huge rucks within the family. Craig's in Dudley on this. Morning, Craig.
Morning, Ian.
What would you like to say?
I joined the army at 15 years and 10 months.
Are you allowed to join at 15?
You was back in the very early 90s when we had a scheme called Junior Leaders, Junior Soldiers.
And what did your parents or your guardians at the time say?
My mum was a bit worried because I was in the Army Cadets because it was what I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
On the age of about 9. But in the end, they knew it was what I wanted to do, so they weren't going to try and stop us because I just joined at 18 when I could as an adult.
Now, am I right? You can't serve actually on the front line until you're 18. Is that right?
Yeah, you can't fire a weapon on the front line until your 18th birthday.
Okay. Your mum she must have been terrified, mate.
She was, yeah, but you know, it's one of those things. You know, it's a damn good career. I served in Northern Ireland, Bosnia, and some other places.
Oh, flipping heck! So you've not just been someone who's been trained for a few years. You've actually been to where it's been horrible.
I started off in the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. Then I went to the Parachute Regiment, and then ended up in the Pathfinders. So you know, I absolutely loved it.
What was it? I can never understand. I can't understand why people would want to join the military. What was the attraction for you, Craig?
Basically, I mean, it sounds a bit cheesy, but when the SAS done the Iranian embassy in the very early 80s, I sat there as a young toddler watching it and thought to myself, I want to do that one day.
Wow.
Some of my family had served in the armies, and my granddad's.
Was it the excitement of firing guns? Was it the thought of?
No, nothing to do with that.
Was it the thought of protecting people and serving your country? What was it?
With me, it was initially I thought, well, it's a job for life. It's a damn good career, and because I was in the Army Cadets as well, it was for the adventure as well, the sense of adventure. And serving with like-minded people. Anybody who says they want to join the army because they want to fire large weapons and kill people, well, they won't end up in the army because of it. The recruiting staff in the careers office will say, sorry, mate, you're a water mitter, you're up the road.
Yeah.
You got no chance.
Craig, listen, I thank you for calling in so quickly. He heard what was going on there and he picked up his phone and called us. This is really interesting. Younger people, your sons, your daughters, joining the army. He joined at 15 years, 10 months. If you're a mum or a dad and your son or daughter comes home and says, do you know what? I don't want to be a nurse, don't want to be a doctor, don't want to be an actor. I think I'm going to join the army. My heart would sink. I'd be terrified. Have you been in that position? How did we get to this? Well, let's work backwards a little bit. It's all started because of the interview you're going to hear now. I spoke to a chap earlier on in the week, Carl Magnus Helgegren. He's a Swedish journalist. He's a dad to two boys, 11-year-old Leo and 10-year-old Frank. Well, he was sick and tired of them talking about Call of Duty, a video game, war. Go around shooting people in a war zone, flying helicopters, throwing grenades and stuff like that. It's a good game. It's a good game. It's for 18s, over 18s. But he was so annoyed with them banging on about it, he took them to Israel and Syria to teach them about the realities of war. 10-day visit to Israel and the Golan Heights in the occupied parts of Syria. He's been branded irresponsible but claims the trip worked and now the boys understand using the reality of guns. Have a listen to this. I really want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think this guy is a progressive parent or do you think he's a massive plum? He's really irresponsible. 03453 009956. I spoke to Carl Magnus yesterday and I asked him, why on earth did he do it?
We were sitting around the dinner table last fall and my children were starting to tell me about this new computer game that all their friends at school were playing, and they were telling me about the guns and the missions. And I started thinking when I was in the Middle East, working as a freelance journalist in 2009 the first time. And before going, I thought I had a pretty good idea what war was. I had seen it on the news, and all of a sudden I was finding myself in demonstrations being fired at with gas canisters. And, and even that wasn't even a war. There was occupation, and these were demonstrations. And I realized I had no idea what war was. And then so I told my children that, well, if you want to play these games, I think you must know what war is, or at least what I really wanted to teach them was that it's not like in the games that you shoot the enemy dies, and the problem is solved. This is that in reality that's someone's father, brother, mother, or sister, and that this will plague your society for generations. It's a trauma, and you never see that in the games. It's much more complex in reality. So that's why I wanted to teach them, and I also wanted to teach them about, I don't like this idea of normalization of guns. If I would walk into the forest where I live and I would take randomly a couple of leaves off trees and show them to my children, they probably couldn't tell the name if it was an oak or an alder or whatever. But if I would show them silhouettes of automatic rifles, they could tell me if it was an AK-47 or
and that's all well and good.
MP5,
is wonderful as a dad, but taking them to Israel and Syria, it might be considered a little bit extreme.
Yeah, well, that's, that's someone else's opinion, and I happen to have another opinion.
What kind of things did they see when you were out there?
Well, first we landed in Jerusalem, and we saw the sights, and the next day we went to this refugee camp. I think it's called Shuafat refugee camp, and I think that's what made the greatest impression on my sons. We had to pass through a military checkpoint, and they saw the children in the street wearing pretty much filthy clothes, and people were burning trash in the street. And next to the school that we visited, it was closed that day, but we were outside. It was a more or less open drug market, and there was a wall surrounding the entire refugee camp. And they were a bit shocked. They thought it was really sinister. So that's part of what we saw. Then we continued our journey.
And you went to Syria as well, occupied parts of Syria. What kind of things did you encounter there?
Yeah, we were. So we drove up north into the Golan Heights, which is occupied Syria, but it has Israeli administration. And we were 60 kilometers from Damascus, and we were standing looking into Syria. And I told them, well, this is where the gas attack happened 9 months ago, where the children were gassed to death. And I told them, because I had been there at the time, I'd been in Israel then, and I brought home newspapers, and I said, you remember the pictures of the lined up children? Well, this is it's just like an hour's drive away from here, and this is reality. This is not television. This is where it happened. And we saw the minefields, and also in the. Well, I think what made the greatest impression on them when we were in Shuafat refugee camp, we went to a medical clinic, and I asked the manager to tell the boys about the situation for children their own age, and he said, we're stitching up children here every day from being beaten in the head with the butt of a gun for having pelted rocks at soldiers. And there were also this was one out of a total of 6 medical clinics. They were treating 3 boys who had been shot through the spine with rubber bullets who were in wheelchairs. And I think, well, my boys went silent. They just sat there, and what I wanted to show them with this was that, guns can be turned on children as well. And even though you're only shooting rubber bullets, the effect can be that, well, there will be no more football practice, and you'll be in the wheelchair for the rest of your life. But you'll never see that in a game.
Was it fair to do that to your boys? 11 and 10 strikes me as possibly being a little young to see those images?
Yeah, I understand that question. At the same time, at home we live without television, so we spend a lot of time talking. We listen to the radio every morning. We listen to the news shows, and I discuss like current world affairs with them. And also, what I did was that when I presented this idea to their mother, because we don't live together, she said, well, we both agreed on that. It's time that our children see something else than just Sweden, Greece, and Spain. We have a responsibility to show them the entire world, not only what you can see in the tourist magazines. So their mother came along with me, even though we're not together, and we did this for them so that in case they would be scared or they would need to talk a lot about things, we would both be there for them to talk and to make sure that they wouldn't come out of it in a negative way.
And what do you think the boys have got out of it? What have they told you they've got from this experience?
Once we got back home, we kind of right away got into like everyday life. The next day was school, and after a week we were sitting around the table again, and we were looking at pictures. And I told them, well, all right, well, as a matter of fact, now you fulfilled your part of the deal. You did this trip and you did the interviews, and now you have the right to choose whether you want to play the games or not. And they just looked at each other and they said, we don't want to play the games anymore. And the reason was, they said, because it doesn't feel right. And also I had explained to them something that I think is very important, that there's an economical relation between games and weapons manufacturers. If you want to make a game and use exact model numbers on weapons, you have to pay sort of a license fee to a weapons manufacturer. So I said, you know, when you're buying the game, you're also putting money in the pocket of a weapons manufacturer. And if you can live with that, that's all right, you know. But I'm not going to buy the game. In that case, you're going to have to buy the game yourself. And I think that added to their decision of not playing the games. And unfortunately, I think a lot of parents are unaware of this economical relation. And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And the weapons manufacturers wouldn't go bankrupt if people stop buying the games. But I think it's just so distasteful that we are letting our children shoot digital missiles in games in front of screens at the same time as we are funding weapons manufacturers. And there are children in other parts of the world who are being shot with real missiles, and they're dying. And I just think that's very, very wrong.
Penn, Pensnet,
Rugeley, Redditch,
Rowley Regis.
Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM.
There you go.
95.6.
That was yesterday morning. I spoke to Carl Magnus Helgegren. He's so annoyed and upset with his children, 10 and 11, talking about video games, playing war video games. Too young for Call of Duty. He took them to a war zone. Took them to 2 war zones. Israel and Syria. The more I think about it, the more I think that is nuts. 10 and 11 is too young, isn't it? It's too young. If you want to stop them playing those video games, confiscate their games consoles. I know it's difficult because then they go around their mates and play it. But if you want to, I take my boys, haven't done it for a while, in North London there is an aeroplane museum. And in one section it's full of bombers and bombs. There's loads of bombs there. And, I've not lived in North London for ages, but when I took my boy there, he was probably 3. And I tried to, in an age-appropriate way, tell him why bombs were not cool. That bombs were bad and hurt lots of people. And when we get older and we go back again or we go to another place that's got bombs and bombers, I'll explain a bit more about why bombs are bad and what bombs do to people and how they hurt people. You can do all those kind of things without going to Syria, without going to Israel, can't you? So to take them there seems a little bit crazy to me. A little bit of an overreaction to video games. And we talked about games last week. I don't see a problem with kids playing age-appropriate video games. I'm a 41-year-old man. I like playing Call of Duty. It's a good game. I like it. It's a good game. I like playing Grand Theft Auto. It's a good game. It's an adult game. They are adult games. In the same way I like to watch adult movies. Steady on. Steady on. 03453 009956. Carl Magnus there. Is he a little bit overzealous? We're also... we're talking as well about young people, kids. Your kids joining up in the Army, the Navy. What's the other one? The RAF. My boys came to me at any age, and said, Dad, joining the Army, my heart would break. It really would. And I know some of you may interpret that as me knocking the armed forces. I'm not at all, really. Whatever my views are, I'm not knocking the armed forces, the armed services. But my boy said, Dad, we want to do this. Oh, my heart would break. 03453 009956. Sue's in Tamworth. Morning, Sue.
Morning.
You want to talk about this, you?
Well, actually, yes, I do. My daughter's 17, and she joined the RAF squadron in Tamworth when she was 13. Before then, it was the usual very shy child, very, very academic, not very outgoing.
Yeah.
And I would certainly suggest this to any other parent who is suffering from children with confidence problems. It's not getting you into the forces, but what the cadets do is actually make a good, rounded child. But my daughter's took it a bit further than that because she got the bug of actually enjoying the physical so I might walk my dogs about a breath.
No, that's all right, don't you worry.
The physical demands of it. She's gone through the ranks and she's now leading the squadron.
Yeah.
She gets a lot of youngsters come up to her with their problems, and they find it easy to confide in her. Problems from school, problems from home that perhaps they couldn't confide in other people. And she, either goes through it with them. She does sometimes put them in touch with the right authorities. She's doing her A-levels, but what she's actually decided to do is to do it full-time. She wants to go to university, join the officer training corps, and she wants to join up the army and go to Sandhurst.
And how does that... You sound like you're very proud of that, Sue.
I am very, very, very proud of it. She's worked very, very hard. She knows it's not easy. She's already done 2 real-life courses with the Marines. They've gone out for 4 days, minus 4 degrees. There is nothing out there apart from you and your sleeping bag. You come back, she came back with a twisted knee, and we actually watched her run the last 2 miles. She was crying her eyes out, bless her. But she was determined to get the T-shirt.
So
you know what I mean?
Is there a chance that she might serve in battle?
Probably, yes.
Right. So there's a chance that she might get shot or blown up or killed. Does that not concern you?
To put it in perspective, I'm a retired police officer. My husband is just due to retire.
Okay.
In 1989, I was extremely badly assaulted.
In the capacity as a police officer?
Exactly.
Right,
I was beaten by a man with a metal bar who basically smashed my head in and then threw me down a flight of 22 concrete steps and then proceeded to jump all over me at the bottom. My husband's been shot at, I've been shot at, we've dealt with people with knives, you name it, we've dealt with it. Unfortunately, I've got a crumbling back now, so I got retired due to the injuries that I've got. And my daughter actually did want to join the police. And to be perfectly frank, I would much rather join the army as an officer than join today's police force.
Wait, sorry.
Because I think she'd be safer.
Sorry, let me just go back a second, if you don't mind. A fella whacked you over the head with a metal bar?
Yes.
And chucked you down 22 stairs?
22 concrete steps, yes.
And this is going to sound like a silly question. Were you hurt?
Yes.
What injuries did you have?
Broke 2 ankles. Where I actually landed was a drying area in Lee Bank. It was full of needles, excrement, broken bottles. It was at night. The council hadn't done the lighting, so it was pitch black. There was no street lights. Got complete gravel rash at one leg, that was the worst because I had to sit in salt baths for about 6 months. Broke my left knee, damaged my right knee, broke my left elbow. My face was completely shattered. I've still got scars on my face. Hurt a bit.
Just a bit. Did you go back to work after that?
Yes, it took me about 18 months to walk properly. I had 3 operations on my legs.
How on earth, though, did you get the courage or the might? How did you manage to go back to work and not be terrified?
Because I didn't want them to beat me. There's no way of sitting at home and going, I'm not going to do that. There are nice people out there. There are people that you want to help. They're the same people. Just because I came across one person who was, it was an awkward situation because he was actually a victim. I was taking a statement off him in his house. The offender turned up, and unfortunately, because they had a bit of a to-do and I was in the middle of it by myself, he turned on me. And I remember running out the house, running along Lee Bank, thinking, he's faster than me.
Blimey. And you've been shot at as well?
Yeah, we were shot at near a gypsy camp. The husband's been shot at.
Wow.
He's actually got a Queen's Commendation Medal for being shot at. It just goes with what we did. I think it's back then. I think police officers were certainly more proactive. It seems what they are now.
Yeah.
They certainly seem to be more reactive.
It's funny when as soon as you said that you were a police officer, you've been a police officer, I got it. I could hear it in your voice, and I'm normally quite good at picking up if someone's a copper or not because you have such a unique way of speaking.
All right.
You're always.
So many people say they can't understand me because I'm from up north.
Oh no, I can get the accent. Just I've met a northerner once. I can get that, but no, the police officers always have such a wonderful way of speaking, as though they're giving evidence in court. It's great. And what's interesting is you say you'd rather your daughter went and served in the military than became a copper. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
Isn't that funny?
I do totally, and I think she would do much better. I think they'd actually get better training. The whole way of looking at it nowadays, the police force is not something that I would want to join. I would rather join the military than the police force.
Sue, a brilliant call. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Go and carry on walking your dog. You see, this is why I do this job. How many calls have we had today where you thought you're going to get one thing, whoom, you go off somewhere else? She would rather her daughter join the military than the police force because she was whacked over the head with an iron bar and chucked down 22 concrete steps and landed in excrement and dirty needles. Now, if I had come in this morning, there is no way that producer Joe and I could have predicted we'd get a call like that. Gosh. 03453 009956. Ranjit, stay there. Talk to you after this. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now with Liz Saul.
Thank you, Ian. There are a couple of problems on the M6 going north. It's heavy going 10A to 11A, the M54 to the M6 toll. There is quite a lot of traffic heading for Weston Park for the V Festival, which continues today and tomorrow. Thousands of people are expected, so expect delays not just on the M6 around that junction. Of course, there's roadworks there as well, but also the M54 and around Junction 3 of that motorway, the A41 and the A5. Various temporary restrictions in place. It's not looking too bad otherwise on the main routes around Birmingham, the Black Country, but your match day travel sees Wolverhampton fans heading to Rotherham this afternoon. Across on the A38 and onto the M1 is looking fine so far. Just be mindful of the roadworks which continue on the M1, 28 to 31 both ways. Villa fans are heading to Stoke City. Now, ordinarily, that's just an hour's journey. However, there are problems on the northbound M6 this morning. The carriageway remains shut between the Stoke exits 15 and 16. So you are being brought off at junction 15, asked to follow the hollow diamond symbol. But because of this, there are queues and delays approaching junction 15. The congestion nearly back to 14, certainly around by the Stafford services. So you are facing additional delays and added on time to your journey there. So just be mindful of that. If you are going to the Villa game at the Britannia Stadium this afternoon, if you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
Ahead of next week's election for the Police and Crime Commissioner's job, BBC WM hosts a special debate with the candidates aiming for your vote.
Paul Franks.
How will they hold the police to account? Why should their experience land them the top job?
BBC WM
95.6.
Hear the candidates and their answers this Monday between 5:30 and 6 on BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain. That music was very, very funky, wasn't it? It was very, very funky for what sounds like quite a serious debate, but quite funky music. Well done. This is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Man alive, I've got to say, this is probably easily in my top 3 favourite shows I've ever done here at BBC WM. It's big. The calls have just been, so random and wonderful. Still getting over that last call. 03453 009956. In a minute, we're going to be talking to a young lad who wants to get Botox on the NHS for the rest of his life. I know you'll want to have your say on that. Before that, though, it's Ranjit. Morning, Ranjit.
Morning, mate. How you doing?
Do you know what? I'm really enjoying myself today, Ranjit. I'm having a cracking time.
Are you going to carry on, mate? All I'm going to say, that last caller, that policewoman, was what makes us British. I think, we should be proud of people like her.
What's interesting is, she hadn't called in to tell us that. She kind of just let that out as a side note. I was saying to producer Joe, everybody has got at least one story that will blow other people's minds.
No, it's like when a policeman nicks you for speeding or whatever, you think, oh, horrible person. When you hear a story like that, it's quite heartwarming, I think.
Yeah, she's well done her. She sounds like she's lived a life.
Anyway, what I want to talk about, right, it's definitely wrong for any adult to have any kind of sexual relationship.
This is the thing. There's been a couple of stories in the paper the last few weeks of older women in their 30s and 40s having sex with 15-year-old boys. I think they may have been teachers. And my knee-jerk reaction when it's an older woman with a 15-year-old boy is to go, get in there, son. Now, there's no difference between it being done that way and an older man and a 15-year-old girl, where I would think, oh, you dirty old so-and-so.
Yeah, right. Listen, if your son is the local stud, you'll be proud to talk about him in the pub and say, oh, my son's having it off with 5 or 6 girls, yeah? Or if your daughter was the local bike, yeah, where everybody went, nobody says that.
I don't think, Ranjit, with the greatest respect, I don't think I'd be bragging about my young boy's sexual prowess.
Not you, but generally people do.
Some people would. I hope that I'll be able to instill a sense of respect within them for other people that they may end up in bed with.
That's what I do with my children.
That's what I hope to do.
I tell them you've got, to my sons, yeah. I tell them that, look, you've got sisters, so if you go with somebody, she's somebody's sister, she's somebody's daughter, so I install that in my children. But generally, what happens is people tend to talk about blokes being, a stud, yeah?
Yeah, and girls being a so-and-so. Yes, yeah.
But if a woman is a bit loose with her body, yeah, she's referred to as a slag or whatever, yeah? So it's wrong. But also, another thing, if you've got, say, a 60-year-old executive and a 30-year-old female secretary, right, where you've got an imbalance of power, I still think morally, even though it's legally, okay, I think morally it's wrong. If you take advantage of anybody of their position, right, and you do what comes, that's not natural, I don't think, okay? I think you're still wrong.
What if they fall in love?
If they fall in love, that's fine.
But is it fine? Can it be fine for a boss and a secretary to fall in love? Because it could be argued that love has come through this imbalance of power.
I think love doesn't come through a balance of power, right? I think sex comes through balance of power. And I think they're two different things, to be honest with you, right? I think after one, the other might develop, right? Or... I would hope that love developed first and then he went into sex, but not the other way around. But you do get people where there's a balance, imbalance of power, vice versa, a woman to a man or a man to a woman. These kind of things happen, and I think morally they're wrong.
Ranjit, this is, do you know what? This is a first.
That I haven't put you on the ropes.
No, shut up! You never put me on the ropes, sunshine. This is the first time I think that I'm pretty much agreeing with you.
Yeah, well, you are. You see.
Let's not do it again, okay?
Okay, then next week I shall be back on form.
And I shall give you a good battering, Ranjit, so to speak.
The voice of Birmingham in the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6.
Now here we go. A Birmingham man says he wants Botox on the NHS for life. 22-year-old Sam Barton says he needs the free cosmetic treatment to combat symptoms of sweating caused by anxiety due to his newfound fame. Sam from Four Oaks says his symptoms have got worse after he revealed how he's received a free £5,000 nose job on the NHS in a bid for the perfect looks. Well, Sam is on the line now. Morning, Sam.
Hello.
So you're a bit sweaty, are you, Sam?
Apparently so, yes.
Why do you want Botox?
I've always had Botox since I was 17. I've always suffered with sweating as well, and for the last couple of years I've suffered with anxiety.
Right.
I've not used the word newfound fame. Since being in the media, obviously there is a lot of attention, there is a lot of negative comments made on social media, etc., etc. And my anxiety has got worse.
Right.
This isn't something that I've gone and directly asked for. This is not something I've demanded. This is something that's been suggested to me to try and...
Are there not other things you do? Have you not tried Mitchum? Mitchum's a deodorant that lasts 48 hours. I've used that.
I've tried quite a few creams and whatever. I've been prescribed things from the doctor. I just chose myself to go and have Botox. At the time, I didn't realise that Botox would stop my sweating.
Yeah.
After I had it, that's when it stopped. That's when, I haven't suffered with it since.
Right.
So it's not something that I would turn down on the NHS if it was offered to me. As I say, I've never smoked. I eat clean. I don't excessively drink, so I don't have to use the NHS for them kind of resources. As where I've paid tax all my life since I've left school. I've worked hard since I've left school, and I don't see the big issue in using the NHS to receive treatments for something that I need.
Well, but it could be argued, Sam, that being sweaty it's just one of those things you got to deal with.
Yeah, you're right. It could be argued that, but why should I have to deal with it when I pay my tax and it's something that the NHS does? There's people out there that smoke 60 cigarettes a day and then go to the NHS to receive treatment. when it makes them fall ill. I don't do that, so this is what I use the NHS for. Everyone has their own.
But it's not an either-or scenario. You know,
Yeah.
I used to really sweat under my right armpit. I used to really, really sweat a lot. It was weird. It was just my right armpit, and it was horrible.
The NHS would have helped you.
Yeah, but I would never have considered going to the NHS for it. I might have gone to my doctor to see if I was ill, and he'd have said no, and I'd gone, oh, all right, I'll just take a sweat rag with me. Could you not get a sweat
That's
rag?
exactly what I done. I went to the doctors, and the doctor told me a couple of different procedures that are available, and that's how it's ended up. And as far as...
But you would think it would be acceptable for you to receive Botox treatment to stop you sweating for free? You think that would be okay?
Well, it's not for free, is it? As I say, I do pay into the system.
It's free at the point. It's free at point of contact, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. The country, this country don't pay anything into the system and do nothing but take out of it, and I don't do that. I'm being made out like a, you know, in the press it states that I don't work. I do work. I work full time. Granted, at the moment I'm not working because I'm working on different projects.
Oh, so you're not working?
I'm on a break from work at the moment.
Okay, so you don't.
My PR company.
Okay, so you don't work full time.
I did work full time at the moment. My PR company, Tones PR, arranged for me to go to Hollywood. I'm going out there to do some screen tests, some TV shows.
Right.
I've got various other bits and pieces coming up in.
So you didn't work full time. You did work full time.
I did.
You don't work full time now. Okay. So
I'm not at the moment. I'm not now.
Okay.
I'm on a break.
Okay. And how are you funding these trips to the States?
That's all sorted through my PR.
Lovely.
From a PR company, and I've just come back from Magaluf. I was out there appearing as the geriatrics lookalike, so that was funded from a PR company as well.
Gosh. So this £3,000 per year for these Botox injections would be helping your career. So why should I pay to further your career?
It wouldn't help with my career at all.
They don't like sweaty people in Hollywood.
Apparently not.
No.
But
So it would be helping it would be helping your career and your vanity, wouldn't it? My tax.
It would be. It would help my vanity, yes. But that's just a bonus that comes on the end of it, I suppose. But it would also help my sweating, and it would also help my anxiety as well.
But there are other ways you could deal with anxiety. You could meditate. You could go on medication. You could go and see a therapist.
On medication.
Well, so there are other ways to deal with anxiety apart from Botox. There will be people listening, Sam, who think, well, why on earth should we pay our tax money when people are being refused cancer treatment? Why should we pay our tax money to help your vanity and to possibly further your career in Hollywood, where you'd be paying tax in America?
I'm not at all saying that cancer treatment should be refused. You know, I've done my own fundraising for various charities where people have been using treatment on the NHS. But just because of that, I don't understand why I should turn down my treatment.
How much? You had a nose job, didn't you, on the NHS?
I had a reconstruction on the NHS following a procedure that I paid for myself.
Okay, so what was the NHS? So it went wrong.
Yeah.
So taxpayers had to pay for your vanity.
It wasn't vanity. I had a medical procedure. I was suffering breathing. It was giving me, sore throats throughout the night, and my nose was wonky. So the NHS just put right.
And that was because of a botched nose job that you'd had that you paid for.
Yeah, that's one. I'd gone private for one.
So why couldn't you go private to get it fixed, or go back with the warranty for the first one?
There wasn't a warranty, and also I didn't want the same surgeon. I could have had revision surgery done by the same surgeon.
Right.
But after, my throat, the tubes that go down your throat during the operation weren't lubricated properly, which friction burned the inside of my throat, so I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, and it was a really good experience, and I didn't want to go back to the same doctor and go through that all over again.
The first nose job was for vanity?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so the one on the NHS was to correct the nose job for vanity that went wrong?
Yeah.
Sam, you're 22, aren't you?
I'm 22, yeah.
I'm worried about you, Sam.
I'm fine.
Are you sure?
I don't need... Honestly, I know where my stopping point is. I know what I'm doing, and I'm just taking up what I've been offered.
I know, and I don't want this to sound patronising just because I'm some boring old fart, but you're 22. Listen, you're a good-looking lad. You're already, and I say this with respect, you're already starting to look a little bit plasticky.
I know that's the look that I want, man. This is a problem that we have. There's so many people on social media that I've logged onto my Twitter this morning. There's so many people on there calling me ugly, calling me whatever else, and that's the reason why
you're not ugly. You're a good look.
Me suffer with anxiety, and that's the reason why people need help on the NHS.
You're not, Sam. You're a good-looking lad, right? And guess what? Twitter is full of idiots. I've had a load of idiots this week having a go at me on Twitter. One of the skills that hopefully you'll get before you get too damaged is to block people and ignore people. Twitter's full of idiots. You're a good-looking lad, and I'm guessing you can't see that.
No, I've always suffered when I looked at it, suggested a few years ago that I suffered with something called body dysmorphia.
Yeah. If you know you've got that, and we'll be a little bit late for the news. Give me a second, Rob. If you know that you've got that, then surely it's been explained to you that plastic surgery is not the way to deal with that.
Every time I have a treatment or some surgery, I feel that I'm boosted, my self-esteem is boosted, my confidence is boosted.
Does it then go back down again a bit afterwards?
No, it doesn't. I just tend to notice something else. And I don't think you can put a price on a mental state of mind. So if it makes me feel better, as long as it does make me feel better, I'll carry on having surgery. I'd love to go to a plastic surgeon and say, knock me out and do absolutely everything, but obviously that's not affordable. So
Sam, listen, I appreciate your time. Ignore the idiots on Twitter. There'll always be idiots.
Thank you.
And just, take care of yourself.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sam, thank you very much. Oh, dear. Well, listen, your thoughts on that, please. Botox treatment on the NHS to stop his sweating, to help his anxiety, and a nose job on the NHS to correct one that he had privately for vanity. Do you know what I heard there? I heard a really... I don't want to sound patronising. I heard a damaged boy with who's got issues that doesn't need to have plastic surgery. He needs help, doesn't he? Does that sound really patronising? Oh dear, poor lad. All right, Sam, thank you.
With full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 1 minute past 11, but I thought it was worth sticking with Sam because he had a story to tell. Let's get the latest news now. Here's Rob Mayer.
Good morning. One man has died after 31 people, including children, were found inside a shipping container at Tilbury Docks in Essex. Many other people are said to be seriously ill. Our reporter Lisa Hempele has more.
The container arrived on a ship from Zeebrugge in Belgium, a major cargo route. The nationalities of those involved isn't yet known. Essex Police is working in partnership with the Port of Tilbury, UK Border Force and the East of England Ambulance Service.
The Pentagon says US drones have destroyed 2 armoured vehicles in northwestern Iraq, which were being used by Islamic State militants. The strikes came as efforts continue in Baghdad to form a new government to deal with the threat posed by the jihadists. 3 people have had serious side effects requiring urgent medical treatment after taking pills they believe to be ecstasy at V Festival in Staffordshire. Police say anyone who's taken a pill known as Blue Ghost should contact emergency services immediately. Speaking ahead of the festival, Superintendent Elliot Williams had said they had a clear statement on drugs.
It's some simple messages, really. Stay away from controlled drugs. You will be dealt with if we find them. Zero tolerance. Don't engage in the use of illegal highs. If you're having a drink, be responsible, look after each other.
Almost 2/3 of the top tourist destinations in the UK have admitted they're not fully accessible to wheelchair users. A survey by the disability charity Vitalise also reveals only 13% had trained all their staff in how to deal with people with a disability. Tourist attractions such as Sarhole Mill in Hall Green and Aston Hall are among those in Birmingham which wheelchair users can't fully access. In sport, Aston Villa manager Paul Lambert says he's not worried about his side's pre-season form and expects to hit the ground running at Sunderland today. West Bromwich Albion get their Premier League season underway against Sunderland the Hawthorns. In the Championship, Birmingham City are looking for their first home win in 10 months against Brighton, whilst Wolverhampton Wanderers are away at Rotherham. The Walsall manager Dean Smith is keen to generate some momentum with a home with the first of 2 successive matches in front of their own supporters against Bradford this afternoon. The Saddlers are unbeaten with a draw and a win so far. That's away from home, and Smith wants something similar at the Bank Stadium now.
Our home record wasn't as good as it should have been last season, and probably why we fell away towards the end of the season. So it's a chance this week to go and get some momentum at home and give the supporters something to shout about. Something that they can hold on to with a bit of hope towards challenging at the end of the season.
In cricket, day 2 of Warwickshire's county championship match against Somerset at Taunton. Mike Taylor's our man at the county ground.
Yes, started on time here, although there is heavy cloud around. Warwickshire extending their first innings to 338 for 9. If they can squeeze out just a few more runs, they might pick up an extra bonus point in the championship, which would be very important as it's getting close towards the end of the season. Oliver Hannon-Dolby and Ricardo Gordon looking to squeeze out as many runs as they can. Warwickshire 338 for 9.
Thank you, Mike. A few sunny spells this lunchtime, turning cloudier this afternoon, though. Highs of 19 Celsius, that's 66 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
That's the fader. Sorry, I nearly turned myself off. You're right, Producer Joe. Yeah. You gonna make me a coffee? I've had like 6 coffees this morning. I am off my nut. This is incredible. I'm still thinking about Sam Barton we just spoke to there. Wasn't the interview I was expecting it to be honest. I was expecting to point and argue, and we did a bit. I came away feeling really sorry for him, actually. I've just tweeted him, thanking him for coming on and telling him to ignore the bullies. He's 22. It's in the Birmingham Mail if you want to have a look at him, page 3. He's a good-looking lad. And I can see he's been arguing on Twitter with people who think he's ugly. He's not ugly, he's a good-looking lad. And he's getting all this plastic surgery. I don't think it's the way forward. Anyway, he wants Botox for free on the NHS to stop his sweating. You have thoughts on that? And did you come away from that interview feeling a little bit sad for him? Or did you think he was an arrogant plum? It's left me scratching my head a bit. What else have we talked about? Well, Cliff Richards on the front of the newspapers. Should people accused of sex crimes be anonymous? We've been talking about video games again, after one dad was so sick and tired of his 2 young boys banging on about Call of Duty, he took them to Syria and Israel to see real war. Oh, we're also looking for a pensioner to play Call of Duty with us. I know, Producer Joe and I will come round, I'll bring my Xbox, we'll bring some tea bags, and we'll teach you how to play Call of Duty. And on the sex thing, why do most men, when they hear of an older woman with a 15-year-old boy, say, "Get in there, my son," when really, it's no different from a middle-aged man and a 15-year-old girl, is it? Iain.lee at bbc.co.uk. 81333, start your text WM. Best way to get in touch, though, and it's been busy on the phones. We've got a couple of lines free now, so now is a cracking time to do it. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
We'll talk UFOs in a bit. I'd love your UFO stories. As you know, I don't believe in ghosts or spirits or the after, any of that. UFOs are real. I've seen one. There is life out there. There has to be. Take your calls on that, please. A couple of texts. Iain, you're correct in what you say. This is about older women and younger men. Check out the Deborah Lefave case. I don't know that. My initial reaction was get in there. Ultimately, it was wrong. Jasmine says, Iain, I can't get a rheumatologist on the NHS for my Raynaud's, which is a relatively unknown condition. I'm at risk of having extremities amputated if the condition worsens when I'm older. I've worked since I was 13, paid tax since 18. This guy gets a nose job and now he wants Botox? If he'd left his nose in the first place, there wouldn't be a problem. This is the problem with society. It's superficial. 03453 009956. OK, on the subject of Sam Barton, who we just spoke to, is Stephen in Walsall. Morning, Stephen.
Hello there.
Stephen, what would you like to say?
Yeah, just, talking about Sam sort of thing, I think when I was at school sort of thing, I was like 16 stone, I was. And then went to the doctors, they said, oh, you've got to go on a diet, this and that. So I did all that, and then didn't work, and then I left school, and then I lost all my weight within about 4 weeks. And as anybody would know, if you lose that much weight in 4 weeks, you're going to have skin issues, like saggy skin.
Yeah.
It gets in my way. It does play with my self-confidence and everything. But, over time, I feel like, I've got to get on with this. But, I've been to the doctor. They won't do anything about it. They said you have to go private. Now,
This is to remove the excess skin, yeah?
Yes, that's
Right,
just
okay.
after. This is like when I was like really big sort of thing.
Yeah.
I was the best rugby player on the team because I just used to walk over people. But
Yes.
but the doctor said no, you have to go private to get it done. And you think, and then you see people. You really like that text that you just read out there with people with conditions and stuff like that. I would love the NHS to pay for mine, or I'll pay for half of it. I can't afford to pay $6,000 to have it done privately, and I have to just get on with it. It's all about prioritisation. You hear about people with these cancer drugs that, that they're not going to pay them until they get to us too late to actually extend life.
And then you hear about people having boob jobs and things because
they want to look like a model.
Well, partly because they want to look like a model, but some women do it because they are full of shame or low self-esteem or, anxiety because of the way they look. And if it helps people overcome that lack of confidence, that anxiety, which can be crippling, then should that be done on the NHS?
Well, to be honest, if you take when I was growing up, I never even had a girlfriend when I was at school because I was that fat. Sort of thing, he's fat, I don't want anything to do with that. What self-esteem's that?
Yeah.
I come out to that.
Where are you now, Stephen? Did you manage to get it sorted, or what happened?
No, I haven't managed to get it sorted. I've lost all my weight.
Yeah, but you still got the.
I've still got the extra skin, but I look slim when I stand up. It's when I sit down. It's when it all, and everything like that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I've got a fiance and 2 kids now. But, growing up as a teenager and stuff like that, I never even had that interaction with girls until I was, 17. So it's, 17, 18. So, with these teacher stories, going like that, I'm thinking, but as you do, how lucky are they, sort of thing. But, it's all about prioritisation. I've learned to live with it, and now, I'm fed up with it. It's getting in my way. I could go to the doctors and say I'm depressed and everything like that, start doing self-harm just to get it done.
Yeah.
But it's not that sort. I'm not that sort of person to get it done. I should be. I would save me $6,000, but it's all about. Needs and must. And if I did get booked into it with the NHS and somebody came along with an urgent, operation, life-threatening, I'd say, yeah, take it, sort of thing. I'll wait because hopefully I've got many years ahead compared to somebody who's got a life-threatening condition or something like that. But with where everything's going, you only have to play,
Stephen, listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. 03453 009956. George is in Moseley. Morning, George.
Good morning.
What would you like to say?
I just heard your conversation with that young lad there, Sam, on the radio.
Yeah, what did you make of it?
Well, at the end of the day, there's underlying issues there. I think there's more psychological problems than other problems there. I mean, at the end of the day, what I would like to do if I'd take the young lad and take him into a ward where, people that have been out fighting for the country that have got disfigured and dismembered faces and all this and what other parts of them done, and then ask him, and get him to see these, and, these are people that really do need the treatment done, and then ask him, have the look in the mirror, and then say, do you really still think that you need this done?
But the thing is, when it's psychological, it's the same with people who have bulimia and Sam's got body dysmorphia. They don't see what you and I see. They can't see it. And you can stand there and you can say, look, you're a good-looking lad. They can't see it.
But therapy, right, at the end of the day, you don't just get this. I mean, you've clearly heard what he said. He said, I want the doctors to knock me out and do whatever they want to do to me, to make, whatever, any treatment. So there clearly is, you can tell just from that little bit there. I mean, all right, he's also said that he does everything to keep himself right. He doesn't smoke, he moderates his drink and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so you're looking after your inside, but what about looking after your outside as well? If you're going to do the job properly. At the end of the day, you need to be sat down and shut. I mean, look at Michael Jackson, God rest his soul. goal. You know, look at him. He ruined himself. He looked like, and God forgive me saying this, I mean, he's a lovely fella, but he ruined himself. He looked like a squirrel before he passed away. He was ruined. He had that much treatment done to him. Great singer, and, you know, he's a great artist. Like, he was a fantastic, you know, artist. But look at him. Take him, for example. When he was a youngster, he was around this young fella's age. You know, he was a cracking-looking lad. Look at him now before he passed away. He was ruined. This is what's going to happen to the likes of this young fella. Somebody needs to get a hold of him, near and dear to him, his family, and say, listen, you need help here, lad.
George, did you feel sorry for Sam?
Of course, you know, anybody would. At the end of the day, he's a young lad. He just, you know, he just needs a little bit of direction. He's going down the wrong road. And I guarantee you, in 10, 20 years' time, whenever he looks at himself in the mirror, he'll have more psychological problems then than what he does now. All he needs is somebody to say, look, listen, come here, let's get you sorted.
George, listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you. 03453 009956 is the phone number. It's interesting. Wasn't the producer Joe is suggesting I spoke to George and said, calm down. I'm not going to do that. I thought George was a very passionate and excellent caller. It's interesting. This was, when we booked Sam, I wasn't expecting the interview to go the way it did, and I wasn't expecting the calls to go the way they've gone. We were expecting fury and outrage. But actually, I came away from that thinking, that poor bloke. You know, he's a good-looking fella, but you could sit with him in front of a mirror, or you could get 100 people to say to him, you're a good-looking fella. And one person would say, I don't think you look that hot. He wouldn't hear the 100 people. He'd hear the one person saying, I don't think you look that hot. That's the voice he would hear and the voice he would take with him. He needs to get off of Twitter. And I suspect as well, he mentioned a PR company, I suspect as well that maybe they're gently pushing him one way. Anyway, 03453 009956 coming up. We've got a bit of live music coming up. Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting. Also, UFOs. I want your UFO stories. You will not be laughed at. You will not be derided. I have seen a UFO. My wife and I saw a UFO. It was the weirdest thing, man. It was so weird. And the local paper, I kind of tweeted it, and I wish I hadn't. And then the local paper got in touch and said, we'd love to do an interview with you. And I went, do you know what? I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be, you know, the freak that saw you. I did see it. Your stories, please. 03453 009956. BBC WM 95.6. Here's Liz Saul with the travel.
Thank you, Iain. As you head on to the M6, there's a couple of problems to contend with. First of all, there's a lot of traffic heading towards Weston Park. So that seems to be causing delays on the M6 and between 10A and 11A in the roadworks, in particular, the M54 to the M6 toll. Going north on the M6, you are advised if you're heading for the V Festival to come off at 10A. So you'll find patchy congestion on the M54 through towards Junction 3 and various restrictions and temporary restrictions and road closures affecting the A41, the A5, all around Weston Park. Just be aware of that. Further up the M6, and if you're an Aston Villa fan planning to go to the Stoke City game this afternoon at the Britannia Stadium, which is just off junction 15 of the M6, I would leave plenty of extra time because the northbound side of the carriageway has been shut because of a serious accident which happened between the Stoke exits 15 and 16. Now, as it stands at the moment, they have been able to reopen 2 of the lanes, so you can now get by between 15 and 16, but obviously still got a long old queue back as far as the Stafford services, so it's adding quite a bit of time onto your journey still. The southbound side in the area also very heavily congested. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
This is the voice of Birmingham
and the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6. Entertainment.
Proper news, friendly voices, local views.
Simply not acceptable. In fact, it's pretty disgusting.
Stories from your local patch.
Action from your local match.
The spirit of Lee Clark's side back from the brink.
Presenters with something to say.
You're a man of your word, are you?
Oh, I am. Characters from down your way.
The people are lovely. Great to get to know them.
Not just
A DJ. Playing boring songs all day.
This is the greatest city on the planet.
I love this place. It's just home. It says a lot for the people in it, but it is so wonderful.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country. BBC WM 95.6.
Boing. Man alive. I'm enjoying the show this morning. We're going to end it off with a little bit of live music as well in the last 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes or so. Been fun this morning. Little recap. Sure, Cliff Richard on the front pages of all the newspapers, and well done you for avoiding the legal quagmire of banging on about Sir Cliff. Don't want to talk about the specifics of the case. That would be inappropriate. I do want to ask the question, though, should people who are accused of sex crimes remain anonymous? Should we know who they are? Is there any reason that we know their names? From that, the way what I like about this show is it's like having a conversation in the pub, isn't it? When you're in a pub, you don't go, right, guys, for the first hour, we're going to ask about should people accused of sex crimes be anonymous. The second hour, we're going to talk about vanity. And for the third hour, I thought we might do a little bit of a light-hearted chat about UFOs and then maybe put some money in the jukebox. It's not how it works. You have a conversation and it progresses. So we've progressed to why do most men have the knee-jerk reaction of when they hear of an older woman having sex with a 15-year-old boy? Whoa, get in there, son. Because there's no difference between a 40-year-old woman having sex with a 15-year-old boy and a 40-year-old man having sex with a 15-year-old girl. There's no difference. And yet, we look at them differently. 03453 009956, your stories on that. UFOs coming up shortly. We've talked about your children joining the army. I would be so heartbroken if my boys came and said, Dad, we're going to join the military. I just thought of something there. And can I say this? Yeah, I can. This sounds like... This is going to... I'm going to try and phrase this and not sound demeaning. Again, this is a knee-jerk thing. I'm going to say it as it came in my head. No, I'm going to say it as it came into my head. I am hoping... I don't mean any offence. I am hoping that I bring my children up well enough that they don't want to join the army. Does that make sense? By saying that, I know that I'm implying that the kids people who do join the army haven't been brought up well. It's a clumsy sentence. The sentiment is true. I'm hoping I bring my kids up well enough that they don't want to join the army. Well, no, yeah, I'm just saying as it came out. It could be structured better. I'm going to put it out there and see what people say. It's not a slight on parents of children who have joined the army. It's not a slight on anybody who has joined the army. I'm throwing it out there. 03453 009956. And before the news, we spoke to Sam Barton. He's a 22-year-old lad. He's a good-looking lad. He's having way too much plastic surgery, I think. And he wants to get Botox free. He wants Botox on the NHS for the rest of his life. Haggis is on the line. Morning, Haggis.
Morning, Ian.
What would you like to say?
I think Sam is... Well, I don't know how to say it. I think he's rather silly at the moment.
Tell me why.
Well, I was in a band for years and years. I lost my leg and my right leg, and I had to have a shoulder replacement. And
what? Because of your leg?
No, I had. That was the accident as well.
What accident did you have?
Stop taking the mic.
No. What accident did you have, Haggis?
All I'm on about is like, hello.
Can I ask what accident you had?
No, I can't say it. It was just a medical accident. Whatever.
So you had to have severe surgery. Yeah. Okay. To rectify.
But then I've had a shoulder replacement, and so I couldn't play the guitar anymore.
Yeah.
But now I'm learning again, and this guy, he's only 22. He's 30 years younger than me, but he wants all this stuff doing. I don't understand it.
I don't understand it, and I feel. I thought I was going to be angry with him. I'm not. I feel really, really sorry I feel quite concerned for him.
No, I think exactly the same, Ian. I listened to that and I thought, hold up, this goes deeper.
He's only 22.
It's on the radio now, and we shouldn't say it, but I've had all this stuff happen to me, but I feel for everyone, and I think well, I mean, I've got a big nose, and I don't want my lips to.
You don't want a little bit of collagen in your lips? Trout pout?
No.
I would never, unless I was, horrifically scarred, I would never go and get plastic surgery done for vanity. I was quite unattractive as a young man. I think I'm growing into my face. I think I look all right as I'm getting older. I think I look all right.
I do know you, actually.
Oh.
Well, I used to know you, but I lost my leg 7 years ago, and then my arm went.
Blimey.
But I still carry on with life. And
how are you learning to play? So what have you? You've got both arms, have you? But one's a little bit rusty.
Yeah, I can't lift the one.
Which arm is it?
It's my right arm.
And are you right-handed?
I've lost my right leg up to my hip.
Oh, blimey. And you're right-handed?
Yes, yes.
How on earth are you learning to play the guitar again?
Because I play it on my lap now.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I have to buy. I know it sounds stupid. I have to buy a shorter neck guitar.
Yeah.
So the body is on my left leg.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
So, but anyway, that guy Sam.
Yeah.
I'd love him to get on, but I think if he keeps on about I need my nose done, I need this doing and everything.
Yeah.
Why? If he's got the talent in the first place, that's the way I look at it, Ian.
Haggis, I appreciate your call. Well done you for having a go at learning the guitar again. That'll be good. That's a project. That must be frustrating. And thank you very much. Debbie's on the line. Morning, Debbie.
Good morning.
What would you like to say?
Right, your comment about bringing children up not to join the army.
Yeah.
Oh dear, no, not a right comment.
Well, no, Debbie. Yeah. Debbie, hang on. Let me explain. There's no right or wrong comment. What we do on this show, I don't know if you're a regular listener, but what we like to do on this show is we kind of like to be honest. I like the callers to be honest, and I like to be as honest as I can. Now, that was the sentence that popped up in my head. Had I thought about it, I could have sculpted it, I could have taken some bits out, I could have added bits, I could have structured it into a very friendly sentence, but I thought I would be brave and share it as it popped into my head. So it's not wrong, it's not right, it's just what came into my head.
Right, then, right, maybe. Now, your earlier conversation about the knee-jerk reaction to the boy and the lady and whatever, agreed with that 100%. I can see exactly where you're coming from with that one.
Yeah.
However, this one, I think your knee-jerk reaction is probably not really very right.
Well, no, again, Debbie.
No, you've got to listen to my opinion
and I
now.
will, Debbie, I will let you listen. I will let you listen,
Okay.
but you can't say that someone's knee-jerk reaction is right or wrong. It's a knee-jerk. It's not right or wrong. By definition, it's a knee-jerk.
Now think about it now then. What do you think now?
You disagree with it?
I do, yes.
Okay, so what would you like to say?
Right, I would like to say, I don't know how old your boys are, is it fair to say? How old are your boys?
They're 4 and 2.
Right, 4 and 2, right. Well, I have 2 children, and mine are older now. Mine are 21 and 18. And my children have done extremely well. I'm very, very proud, and we've not had a lot of money, while they've been brought up. I'm the only worker. My husband suffers anxiety, etc., etc. And they have come out really, really well. Now, your knee-jerk reaction, my knee-jerk reaction to my son, should he have wanted to join the forces, was, oh, my God, not the army.
Right.
Right, because I felt that was more, obviously, combat. If he wanted to join the forces, I think I would have been a little bit happier with the Navy or the RAF.
Oh, that's interesting.
That would have been my knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that to say that they've not been brought up, I think your knee-jerk reaction was probably not right there.
Again, you keep saying that there is no right or wrong knee-jerk reaction, Debbie. That's by its very different definition. There is no right or wrong.
But I think you'll get a lot more anti on that one than what you would on the other one. You had a lot of guys and a lot of people, and I'm a female, agreeing with you on before about your other knee-jerk reaction.
Okay.
And I can agree with that. I can see where you're coming from with that. But this one, I think you'll have a lot more, people going against your knee-jerk reaction on that one.
And that's fine. And that's fine, Debbie. My knee-jerk thought was, I hope I bring my boys up well enough that they don't want to join the services. Now, if I were to think about that, and now I have thought about it, of course I could sculpt it and make it a more radio-friendly question. But I'm bearing my soul sounds a little pretentious, but do you know what? Let's be pretentious, shall we? It's nearly 11:30 on a Saturday. I'm bearing my soul and being honest with what my initial thought was. And I don't want my boys to join the military at all. Hate it. I would hate it. I would hate it. And that isn't a knee jerk. That's a fact that I've thought about. I would hate it if they joined the military.
Yeah, now half of me thinks I would be extremely proud, but then the other half of me says, oh, my God, no.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. But I think bringing them up right is probably not necessarily, I think he's not a good knee.
Oh, that's the bit.
That is your gut.
That's my gut.
thought.
That is my gut. Let me try and expand on it a little bit. I'm guessing that I will be, and that is the bit that I would take out if I was sculpting that sentence. If I were to sit down and write a piece about it, that's the bit I would write and then take out again on the second reading. I'm hoping that they are presented in their youth with enough options, open to them, that they don't need to take the military as an option. Is that a better way of phrasing it?
Possibly. Now, my way is I found that my 18-year-old, a lovely lad, obviously, he's done really, really well. He's never brought the police to my door, etc., etc. But I found that I had to give him lots and lots of choice and let him go his own way.
Oh, yeah.
So you found that you were saying, right, OK, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about the other?
Yep.
Well, yes, no, yes. Teaching was one example. No, I don't want to be a teacher. Well, why not? You're bright enough. He's just got his A-level results. You're bright enough. No, because I know what I'm like in class, Mum. So he didn't want to be a teacher. So we were throwing everything at him. And eventually he's not going to university. He's got an apprenticeship with a local huge company, which also happened to be a brewery.
Free beer for everybody. You've come up trumps.
Yeah, he was going to buy some yesterday. I said, no need to. I said, you start your new job next month.
Put it in your pockets.
But I was saying you have to put lots of options their way.
You're right.
And I found myself, the more, if I try and push him one way,
they'll go the other. They'll go the other.
Yes, they go the other.
Debbie, we ended as friends, didn't we?
I think possibly so.
There we go. I'll speak to you again, Debbie. Thank you. It's true. You try and push your kids one way because you've got to give them options. One of my favourite things, George Harrison from the Beatles, hippie, massive hippie, and his son's way, Danny's way of rebelling was to join a military school. He went to military school. That was his way of sticking two fingers up to his dad. Yeah, I'm going to join a military school, Dad. Now, listen, UFOs, OK, they have to be real. I've seen one. I'd love to hear your stories, the last 30 minutes of the show. According to a new documentary, US government... Now, this gets confusing. Focus, OK? According to this documentary, US government agents claim they spent decades giving fake evidence of extraterrestrials to gullible ufologists, all right? So fake information about UFOs would suggest it's all a load of rubbish, right? But then maybe that's a double bluff, and it's being suggested the fake information was actually a cover-up, and it's actually proof that our governments know something about aliens. How's about them apples? 03453 009956. We can speak now to Andy Lound. He's a UK rep for the Planetary Society. Is it fair to say, Andy, you're a UFO expert?
Well, we don't usually use the term UFO expert because when we talk about UFOs, immediately two groups of people come up with a different thing as to what they mean. If I was to say UFO to standard people, they would probably say, oh, you mean a flying saucer? And that's not what we mean at all. What we mean is an object in the sky that happens to be flying that is unidentified, i.e. an unidentified flying object.
Yep.
The big jump comes when people start to make the leap saying it's an unidentified object to a flying saucer, an extraterrestrial. That is a huge leap. And to be fair, at the end of the day, there's absolutely zero evidence whatsoever.
Oh.
But what's interesting here about the government thing, which is the point we're on today, obviously, is the fact that is something we've known about for a long time anyway. It's just they've finally admitted.
What, the governments would make up UFO sightings to confuse people?
Yes, it would. I mean, the reason why that's been very common, Roswell is a very famous incident of this, where there's supposed to have been a UFO crash, where bodies were removed. But somebody came out with the idea that they thought it was a UFO, and the military immediately thought, this is very good, because it actually can cover up what we've actually been doing there. So let the story run.
Oh.
And it's very common to allow stories to run. You've got test aircraft being flying around all the time, which you don't want people to identify, especially drone research, which was very big and very common. We know all about drones now, but we didn't at one time. So it was a good idea to say, oh, there's a UFO scare going on. Fake documentaries being made, things like that. This is a very common thing from the intelligence services because they have their own game to play for good reason, not always just for bad reasons, for good reasons to protect the nation. So it doesn't surprise me that they've been actually doing that at all. And many of us have been suspicious of it. The thing that's thrown it with us is if you're trying to do serious research into UFOs, and some UFO research has led to new phenomena being discovered, such as ball lightning, sprites on top of storms and things like that. this mix of fake stories has just caused confusion, unfortunately.
So we know that they've done this. Do we know which are the fake stories and which are the ones from real people who claim to have seen UFOs?
We don't actually.
Oh.
But I think one of the things that can be clearly done is the ones which look like, how shall we say, the ones which are far more look like objects, which are physical objects. Most of these do appear now to be fake objects.
Oh no! So the cigar ones and the flying saucer ones?
The ones which, and they have actually apparently literally used hubcaps. Photographed they've literally done that. The point is, there's a lot of people out there who aren't scientifically minded who will believe regardless.
Yeah.
And this is what has always been played on. But advertisers like to do it, obviously, for innocuous reasons. But obviously you get people who want to do it for more suspicious reasons. People are desperate to believe in something. And because of that, you very easily can lead people astray. And intelligence services like to do it. They did it in the Second World War, for instance. Where it could be things like inflatable tanks put along the side of a countryside area to fake.
Yeah.
So Germans believed we had a bigger army than we had. It has always gone on, and it always will go on. The only sad thing about this one is where we've got a situation which you've got general members of the public who were well-meaning, believing, we're going to be visited by aliens. Oh, look, the evidence is there. And now it's so muddied, well, it's going to be very difficult to get to truth or not.
Do you believe in flying saucers, Andy?
No, I don't. In the true traditional sense that they are extraterrestrial vehicles, no, I do not. Because there's absolutely no evidence we can put in front of a court for it. If you were to tell me, have we seen unidentified flying objects and people have identified them as our type of aircraft, I would say yes, we have.
But they are earthbound aircraft.
But they are earthbound aircraft. Many are experimental aircraft. Many would have been drones, which now we know a lot more about drones. We now start to say, well, hang on, some of this stuff that people have been seeing at night have probably been drones flying overhead, making observations. But I do believe there's a lot of aircraft under test, secret aircraft, which for obvious reasons we're not told about, which people have observed. And I think that's quite a common one. I have someone very close to me who actually saw a physical object without any question or doubt. So it was clearly an aircraft of some kind. Whose it was, probably British, probably test, probably experimental, and that's what they saw. But that is where and regardless of all the photographs, regardless of all the eyewitness accounts, we still have absolutely no evidence that you could thrust into a court of law to say this is from extraterrestrial origin. It's very sad because I do believe there's extraterrestrial life out there. I do believe there's intelligent life out there. The cross point comes is, do we believe they visited us? And I think one of the most important things we have to think about here, about all this, is the fact that would extraterrestrial life actually be interested us in the first place?
Oh, are you saying we're a bit boring in the great scheme of things?
Let's look at it, for instance, on our own planet, where we see ourselves as an intelligent species. The next intelligent species down is probably the chimpanzee. Very bright, very intelligent, we think.
Yeah.
There is only 1% difference in DNA between us.
Oh.
Right? Not much. 1%. Now, if there are any extraterrestrials who have been travelling across the galaxy, which is a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, so it's a long way.
Are going to be more than 1% more intelligent than us. That means they're going to be more removed from us than we are to the chimpanzee. Are they really going to be interested in us? Probably not.
Andy, that's a depressing thought. Thank you very much. Fascinating stuff. Andy Lound, UK rep for the Planetary Society. Right, he's not convinced. He will admit that UFOs exist by their very definition, unidentified flying objects. He doesn't think they're spaceships. Your stories, please. 03453 009956.
Darlaston, Edgbaston, Erdington,
Paisley,
Gornal Wood.
Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
Doing some body popping then. John's in Sheldon. Morning, John.
Good morning, Ian.
What have you got for us, John?
These unexplained objects in the sky.
Or unidentified flying objects. There's a term for it already, yes.
You hear this very often. People have seen UFOs or aliens. It's always in the early hours of the morning.
Yeah.
What they are actually, those what they think are UFOs are actually spaceships. And the aliens that are coming down are actually our MPs coming back from the planet they spend most of the summer on that's got a connection with a chocolate bar. And they parachute down into the Lick Hills or...
Is that how it works?
Yeah. They used to parachute in Smalley Park, but one got stuck in the pond there and had to get the fire service out to rescue him at 3 o'clock. They're our MPs coming back from
John,
the planet they live on.
I get the feeling, John.
Yes.
That you're not taking this as seriously as I was hoping
honestly,
you were going
I'm being
to.
serious. OK. Can I just have a quick word about that young man with the problem with his skin?
Do you mean Sam Barton?
I don't know his name. The lad that's...
the sweaty boy?
The lad that lost a lot of weight and he's got excessive skin.
Oh, there was a caller that we had who he was 16 stone. He lost a load of weight. He's got excess skin hanging over his belt. Yes.
There's two things. First of all, I'd advise him to ring the free phone NHS line on 111, and they'll give him some advice. I don't know if they do anything on the NHS. Secondly, this is a warning for everybody that wants to lose a lot of weight fast.
Yeah.
That's if you lose weight, excessive weight fast.
Right.
That's when you get this excessive skin.
Yeah.
You should diet properly. Now, if somebody was to lose a pound a week, in 12 months they'd lose 4 stone. That's the way to diet, not excessive weight, because when you lose excessive weight, normally you put double the amount back on. And this is probably why this lad's got this excessive skin.
How do you know all this, John?
It's common sense, you know. I've got a brain. I don't need a computer. That's why I can't stand for MP. I've got a brain that functions, and it's not battery or mains operated. That's why I'm disqualified for standing for a Member of Parliament.
Is it solar-powered?
No, yes, it is. Yes, it is solar-powered. Yes, the sun shines on the righteous.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. What a delightful fruitcake. Ken's on the line. Morning, Ken, also from Sheldon.
Yeah, good morning.
I hope you're going to take this UFO thing a little bit more seriously than my previous caller.
Oh, good grief, yes.
Go on, what you got?
Well, there's two. The first one, very, very quickly, I was over at the building site with my mates just on security, and we heard this sort of a droning sound. Went outside the port cabin and looked straight ahead of us, and we just saw a red flashing light going from my right to my left.
Yeah.
And I mean, I said, what the hell? I said it was a helicopter. I said, but then it stopped, and it started coming back from my left to my right.
Uh-oh.
I thought it might have been a navigation light on the port side of the aircraft.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, hang on, it's got to be a helicopter coming backwards now, because helicopters can track backwards as well. Next thing you know, it's done like a figure of 8, if you like, and then it's just shot straight up into the sky and gone. And it was over as quick as it started. And we both looked at each other, and a few expletives come out, and like, what the hell was that? And
do you think now it was an alien spaceship?
I don't know what it was. All I'm saying was is that the way it tracked and the way it done a figure of 8 was no problem, because you think, well, that's a helicopter. But when it sort of stopped and then just shot straight up in the sky at a huge speed, at a massive speed, we've all got open minds. It could have been anything.
And you said you had another one?
Yeah, this is the one that was witnessed by about 40 people. I was coming home. I was driving through towards Droitwich to the junction 4 of the M5.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was coming through Droitwich. I was coming up to the island, and there's a bit of a traffic queue, and I thought, what the heck's going on there? And people were actually out of the cars looking up. Now, it was a beautiful, clear night. Beautiful. You can see stars for miles. But the thing is, I said what we were looking at, and they said, look at that. And I looked up in the sky. Now, it's hard to explain to somebody over the phone, but if you can imagine a sky full of stars, and then you put a black card, like a large square black card heading on the diamond shape.
Yeah.
But as you were going across the sky, the stars in front of it, if you like, were disappearing.
Yeah.
And the stars from behind it were appearing.
So you could see something. It was black. You couldn't see it, but it was moving across and blanking out the stars.
It was massive. And the thing was, everybody was thinking. They was all saying, you could feel a huge pressure. People were saying, as if he's pushing you down. And the air went sort of warm. And it was unbelievable. And it took about 5 minutes to go across the sky. It wasn't speeding.
Right.
It was just
and I'm assuming, Ken, that this was in the local press at some point.
Yeah, when a couple of days later, the local press said, have we been visited by aliens? And there's people giving interviews and Christ knows what. And
I believe in all this. If you've listened to the show, I hate mumbo jumbo, magic, ghosts, all of that stuff, nonsense. UFOs, life out there. There has to be life out there mathematically. The universe is so big.
it's a bit rude of us to think that we're the only human being or the only animals that are alive in this universe.
Well, there are other animals alive. They're like cats and dogs and chickens and stuff.
No, I said in this universe.
In this universe, you're right. It's got it, and it's whether they'll come here. I tell you, I don't believe. I don't believe the Americans who say that they were probed. You know, they woke up and they were on their front and they were being probed by an alien. I don't believe that nonsense.
There was that famous case in America, though. It was hugely documented worldwide, where a woman gave up everything in the city to work in the country on a horse farm.
Yeah.
And she was working on a horse farm, and she was told by the owner to take the flatback truck and go and get some horse feed.
Yeah.
And she disappeared for about 7 months. And when she got back, they sort of like, well, where the hell have you been, blah, blah. All the food stuff that was in the back of the wagon was rotten. She sort of, I've only been gone a few days, but when they regressed her, apparently, they found out that, what she said was that she was travelling back, saw a huge light, felt a huge bang, and then the next thing she knew, she now saw another huge light and another bang. No. And when she was medically examined, they reckon that she may have been abducted, but she'd suffered 4 pregnancies.
I don't believe. Give me a name I can Google, because I don't believe that.
I can't think of the name.
No,
Ken. I'll tell you what. Google this then. Google it. Hang on. Abducted horse farm.
Abducted
horse farmer.
Abducted horse farmer. Okay. Let's see what comes up. Hang on. I'm googling it. Abducted horse farmer. It's got. There's a horse called Abduction. There's Shergar. Ken, you're talking out your backside, Ken. I was with you until then. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. As you make your way onto the M6, it is looking a little bit better along by junction 10A and 11A, so heading towards Weston Park. You'll still find traffic as you head towards Weston Park and the V Festival. Thousands of people making their way there and going to the event across the weekend. So you will find congestion at times. Certainly it's the A5 and the A41 heading in that direction that are looking the most congested. On the M42, it's looking much better between 4 and 6. That's between the A34 and the Birmingham Airport turn. It was looking quite congested. Also eased off as you head into Birmingham along Hagley Road. Now further up the M6 is where there are problems which continue. As the lane's still shut 15 to 16 between the Stoke exits. The carriageway was closed for a time because of an accident near to the Keel services. There's still a lot of congestion back to the Stafford services. Now, this is particularly important if you're a Villa fan heading to the Stoke City game this afternoon. So, obviously, it's going to take you a little bit longer than usual to get to the Britannia Stadium. You normally go off at junction 15. Wolves fans heading to Rotherham for this afternoon's game. It's not looking too bad along the A38 as you head towards the M1. Just be aware of the ongoing roadworks on the M1, 28 to 31, likely to cause you some disruption. If you are going on public transport, there's delays on trains of about 20 minutes currently, particularly affecting Arriva Trains Wales between Holyhead and Birmingham because of a signalling problem. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Thank you very much.
Clara, tell me, am I a good man?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
The new Doctor lands August 23rd on BBC One and BBC One HD.
Very excited about Doctor Who. I know, but I am excited. Now, listen, you can still give us a call the last few minutes of the show if you want, 03453 009956, about any of the things we're talking about, particularly UFOs, and Daz will be on at midday, and maybe we'll speak to him and find out what's happening with him. But the end of this month sees the ever-popular Moseley Folk Festival hit Birmingham, and we're going to have a few acts joining us over the next couple of weeks. We're joined today by Midnight Bonfires. Hello, everybody, all right? Hello. We've got Rick, Theo, Dave and Simon, is that right?
Yeah.
Simon, I'm digging the beard.
Thanks.
Come a little bit closer to the microphone. I'm kind of... I'm toying with the idea of growing a beard.
Okay.
How long does it take to stop looking like a tramp and start looking like a beard?
We're nearly there.
I think you're looking good. I'm enjoying yours. I think yours is looking good. Listen, no, your microphone's not working. I don't quite know why. Chaps, do you want to try that one?
Hello?
That one's working. Do you want to say hello to that one? That one's not working. Joe, could you help fix the studio, please? Because I've broken it. As you may be able to tell, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing in here. I don't know how to work any of the buttons. I just come in and make the station sound good. Dave, you supported Jamie Cullen recently.
Yes.
At the Symphony Hall. That's quite an impressive venue. How did you get that gig?
Through
BBC introducing,
yeah, it was BBC. I think it was through the BBC.
It was the BBC introducing that did it.
And Jamie Cullum, he was impressed, wasn't he, by the introducing across the
he did for
country.
The tour. He picked each city he played in. He picked his favourite band.
Yeah.
He'd heard on introducing from that city.
Yeah. See, BBC introducing is a cracking way of getting. It should be working, shouldn't it? They should be working. We may all just have to shout into the green microphone. It doesn't fine. He's a nice fella, Jamie Cullum, isn't it? He's wee.
It's lovely.
You could put him in your pocket and take him home, and no one would notice.
I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
He's a good lad, but he's and Johnny Marr. You're going to be supporting Johnny Marr.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, see, that's properly cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
pretty good.
When you get gigs like that, when someone says, "Oh yeah, so you got this gig," by the way, Johnny Marr's on after you, Simon. That must be just one of those moments where you go, "Hang on a second, this is all working out quite nicely for us."
It's it's a definite nice nod, and it's like we're really happy to be a part of this festival. We played last year, a real small acoustic stage, so it's pretty crazy that in a year we've kind of gone up to that stage. It's brilliant.
How did you all get together? How did this band come about?
We've been this outfit for about a year.
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah.
You've got a guitar with us. I'm hoping. I'm sure I saw some shakers as well. Are they shakers?
We've got a shaker. Yeah.
We've got a shaker. Are you going to give us a song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you got for us?
It's a track called Existence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Play it, and I may be conducting you in as much as getting you a little bit closer or further away from the microphone, because we've not done a sound check. So if you see me go like that or go like that, don't think I'm being rude. But, gentlemen, over to you.
Pain, go away, it's not for me today. I will, you forget, am I? I will, you forget, my existence. Time is there to waste, I wasted too much on you. Thrown around in my sleep, I thank you for this lack of peace. Lost in my own home, I lock myself in my room. Oh, will you forget, am I? Oh, will you forget, my existence? Am I? I will forget my existence. Don't ask for the truth if it's gonna hurt you. Playtime is over, I think I heard the last bell. Shall build a tower high beneath the trees and clouds. Or will you forget, am I? Or will you forget, am I? Or will you forget, am I? Existence.
we'll have some of that. That was cracking stuff. Fantastic. Midnight Bonfires. Rick, I'm guessing you're the bass player.
No, I'm the mandolin player.
Are you the mandolin? Why did you not bring the mandolin in today?
I did, but I brought the electric one.
Oh.
And not the acoustic one.
You silly sausage.
Yeah.
I love a bit of mandolin. He's a silly boy, isn't he? Is he kind of the Peter Talk of the group? That the one you're always going, oh, for goodness sakes, Rick, what are you doing?
Just really clumsy.
And Theo,
I'm the forgetful one.
You're the forgetful one. Are you the drummer, or are you just...
I'm the bass player.
Oh, you're the bass player.
Our drummer Mark's away in France at the moment.
So you don't look like a typical bass player, because bass players... I'm a bass player. They're normally kind of long and lanky and a little bit... clumsy, which is why I looked at you, Rick, with the greatest respect. long and lanky and thin, and you're not.
Yes, compact.
Compact, you're the compact bass player. Give me the two greatest bass players in the world, please.
Bootsy Collins, maybe, and Paul Simonon, Clash.
Controversial with Bootsy Collins, but I'm digging it, man. Interesting you didn't go for McCartney.
I like his stuff.
Overrated.
Yeah.
Hang on, who said overrated?
Dave.
Really?
I definitely didn't.
you can't diss a Beatle. If you just dissed a Beatle live on air.
Diss a Beatle.
He dissed a Beatle, I think.
That was Simon.
That was me.
Simon. What kind of music do you listen to? What's in your CD player? A CD player. That's how old I am. What's in your cassette deck at home?
I'm quite into Lauren Vula at the moment.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm quite late to the party for that, but she's a singer-songwriter from Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
She studied at the Conservatoire in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And her album's brilliant. Sing to the Moon, I think it's called.
Brilliant. All right, listen.
Prince apparently listens to it before every show.
Does he?
Yeah.
See, that's a weird... Imagine, how does that information kind of get out? Yeah. Just let you know, Prince listens to your music before every show. What?
Yeah.
So Midnight Bonfires, you've got loads of gigs. You're playing at the Moseley Folk Festival. If people want to find out more, have you got a website? Can they come and see you somewhere? What's the deal, guys?
midnightbonfires.com.
You got that? You nabbed that one. Brilliant. All right, listen, really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Best of luck with Johnny Marr.
Yeah.
That's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's nuts when you get something like that.
Ridiculous.
One of my coolest things I've ever done, and it will never get cooler than this, right, is I got asked to introduce The Who on stage at the Royal Albert Hall.
Nice.
And it's one of those things, yeah, all right, sure. And I did. I had to go on stage at the Royal Albert Hall. I also had to introduce BDI, but, the ups and downs, isn't it? But you can't have everything. But I had to stand on stage at the Royal Albert Hall and go, ladies and gentlemen, The Who. And then The Who walked out. And it's one of those things, it's just like, I'm done now. I can. The 15-year-old me is happy. I'm done. Chaps, really nice to meet you. Thank you very, very much for coming in. Nice to see you. Right, let's go to Daz. Morning, Daz.
Good afternoon or good morning, whatever it is. Good day. They're a good band, aren't they?
They are good, aren't they? They're all right. And it's morning, Daz. There's no argument about it.
Is it? Yeah. For another few minutes yet.
Yes.
Has the singer got really tight trousers on? Because with a falsetto like that, he must have some sort of,
The voice, I'll be honest, Dave, the voice was a surprise. It was lovely. But when you started singing, I'm looking around going, hang on, that voice can't be coming from any of those gentlemen. But it was lovely. They were good, weren't they?
Marvellous, really good. It's good that the BBC WM introducing was involved in it as well, which is even better.
I'm an old fart, but I'm also a big fan of BBC introducing, because some of the acts that have come from all across the BBC regions are cracking. But Daz, you are not musical, I think it would be safe to say. Is that not too harsh a criticism?
I was in a band, I had records out, me.
Did you? What band were you in?
We were called the Money Gods. We supported Radiohead.
Did you really?
We did, yeah.
Should I have heard of the Money Gods, or was... No. Okay. No. You're at the Money Gods are at the Hawthorns today. What's happening there, Daz?
Yeah, well, it's at the start of the Premier League season today, isn't it? So it's a real sense of anticipation and excitement. So early kick-off coming live from the Hawthorns. FM commentary this afternoon will be coming from the Britannia Stadium. Stoke against Villa. So Villa kicking off their campaign just up the road. We'll have Albion Sunderland live on DAB in the Birmingham area. Wolves go to Rotherham. Now that's live on DAB in the Black Country. And if you've got a Freeview telly, Channel 722, you can hear that. And David Kelly, part of our commentary team today. Blues Brighton, Walsall Bradford, and we're building up to it all in early kick-off in just a few moments. A couple of things on the agenda today I want you to get involved in. Footballers with a West Midlands connection to their name. Because I saw John Aldridge on the telly the other day, and I thought, Aldridge. So we'll put together a dream team of footballers with a West Midlands connection in their name. And also, if you could introduce or change one law in football, what would it be? It can be funny or it can be serious. What do you reckon, Iain?
Have I told you my thing for Super Soccer double football?
No,
This
go
is
on.
genuinely brilliant, right? This is actually brilliant. I want someone to do this. You have a square football pitch. You have goals on every side. So there are 4 goals.
Yeah.
You've got 4 teams playing at the same time. And there is a period where so you have one football, 4 teams, 4 goals, and there's a period where they introduce a second football for 10 minutes.
Crazy. And at that point, they need to bring Mike Reid back from the dead to go, run around now.
You are that old, Daz. That's wonderful. What instrument did you play in your band?
Vocals. I would say singer, but vocals.
Well, armed with that information, Daz, and having just signed another 12-month contract here, boy, oh boy, we're going to get you singing at some point.
Oh, bring it on.
Daz, see you later on. Have fun.
See you later.
Ta-ta. There we go. Thank you very much indeed. Right, that's it. That's your lot. If you want to get in touch during the week, you're more than welcome to. You can send me an email, ian.lee at bbc.co.uk. We spell Iain properly. Why am I saying we? I spell it properly, IAIN.LEE. You heard music from the Midnight Bonfires. Give us that website again, please, Simon, if people want to find out more.
MidnightBonfires.com.
There you go. You see, beautiful. Thank you very much for coming in, chaps. Excellent stuff. That's it. That's your lot. Keep listening, though, because coming up after the news, as you've heard, it's going to be the wonderful vocalist of the Money Gods, you lucky things, Mr. Daz Hale.
With full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
So all 5 of our teams kicking off at 3 o'clock this afternoon. The Premier League is back as well. And we begin our coverage next on BBC WM Sport with me, Daz Hale, in early kick-off. But first, the news at